Welcome to crisp and sunny Central Florida and the Daytona International Speedway. Today, nearly 100,000 fans settling in for an important day of racing as the countdown continues for Sunday's Daytona 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr. appears to be the man to beat so far on the front row with Jeff Green, and the rest of the field will be decided today as FX brings you the Gatorade Twin 125's, 2 races that are fun, fast, and furious. And to get you ready for a dramatic and decisive day of racing, we come to you from the Hollywood Hotel, located trackside just above Victory Lane here in Daytona. Hi, I'm Chris Myers. We're just 3 days away from the Great American Race, and today the last chance for many drivers to make the field. And like the engines themselves, the pressure heating up, and by the end of the day, we're going to have a better idea of who's hot and who's not hot, and we'll know the starting order for this Sunday's Daytona 500, which you'll see on Fox. My partner is always here in the Hollywood Hotel, former crew chief Jeff Hammond. And hey, the intensity level is up a notch. We saw Tuesday a little track action with an accident. Might we see some of that today?
Most definitely right now in this first race, especially you're looking at guys like Larry Foyt, Jimmy Spencer, to name a few right now. A lot of these guys are in trouble, and they realize it, and they've got to run hard in this first race for sure. As we were talking about earlier this week during one of the practice sessions, everybody was out there practicing, and all of a sudden somebody makes a little bobble. Jack Sprague gets into Mike Skinner, and around he goes. And I mean, this is the kind of thing that can happen here during these 125s, because all these guys realize this is their last chance. And for Mike Skinner, he's one of those guys who had to go to a backup car, and he's also in trouble as far as his first race is concerned. He needs to have a solid run if he wants to get into the 500.
Right, of the 4 drivers involved in that, Jeff, 3 going to backup cars: Jeff Burton, Elliott Sadler, and Mike Skinner, as you mentioned. Let's go upstairs, get a driver's perspective on the excitement of 2 races in one day on the Twin 125s with Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip.
Thanks, Chris, and hello, everybody. 43 drivers will start the 500. There are 50 in the 2 qualifying races today. And Darrell, that means there's going to be some odd men out. Some drivers in this race are just racing to improve their starting position on Sunday, but some are racing for their professional future.
Mike, it's pretty simple. You just run up front, win the race, and you're in the Daytona 500. If you run in the back and you struggle and you have problems, there's a good chance you could go home. That's what these races are all about. There's going to be some surprises. When the day's over with, 7 guys are going to go home, 8 guys I think it is, and there's going to be a couple of surprises in those that go home.
And there are about 16 drivers who have an even chance of being on the headed home list. Steve Burns is with one of them.
Mike, a little history about Jimmy Spencer. He raced in his very first Daytona 500 in 1990, but he's been coming here for many years. Jimmy, you came here as a fan a long time ago.
You know, Steve, some of the greatest races has always been the Daytona 500. Richard Petty, David Pearson deal, Bobby Allison beating Davey there at the end, and, you know, Darrell Waltrip winning on fuel mileage. Just so many good races, and I had 10 seats right there. I still have them today, and they'll be there Sunday, and he'll keep another one open for me again.
You've got to race your way in today, Jimmy. You didn't make this show last year.
No, I didn't, Steve. You know, I'm just hoping the good Lord blesses us all with patience and no mistakes. If the drivers don't make any mistakes, we feel like we'll be in this race. But you never know. Flat tires, impatient drivers, who knows? I love Daytona. I think this is one of the best races of the year by far, because you have to get into the 500. Hopefully we can get the Serious Dodge in the 500 today.
Best of luck, Jimmy Spencer. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Steve, back in Tony Stewart's formative open wheel years, the fast guys always started at the back, and it's good practice for Stewart because that's where he will start today in the second Twin 125. Not Glenn Nibel's fast sprint car, but you still have a stout piece. What's the game plan today, Smoke?
I'm starting so far back, I'm clear back in the bus lot right now. So, no, I think we're pretty realistic about the fact that, you know, no matter what, we're going to be in the race. You know, even if we have to use a provisional. So the biggest thing today is the car we run today is the one we got to run on Sunday. So, you know, not to take any chances today. We got some good friends that are working really hard, and they have to run good in this qualifying race to get in the show. So we're going to kind of watch those guys, and you know, at the same time, we're just going to use it as a practice session. I mean, that's the smartest thing for us to do right now. We got a really good car. I think it's just a matter of making sure it's there for Sunday without a scratch on it.
He is a lock for Sunday's 500 today. We'll just decide where he starts in his bid for a first Daytona 500 victory. Chris?
Yeah, and still eluding him. You know, it's a little early, but the Waltrip, Earnhardt, they went through the jinx, and they said, hey, when are we going to win? He's coming off a points championship, but does this look like the year he breaks through?
Well, I think it could really be because of the fact that they've got a very good car. I talked to some of the crew members today, and they're very optimistic that they can be patient, and Tony can work his way to the front, get a good starting position for the 500, and bring it home.
No, and again, he was last in last year's Daytona 500, but wound up being the Winston Cup points champion, and we'll get to see Tony in action along with some of the other drivers. When we come back, we'll tell you how the pit stops will play an important role in today's Gatorade Twin 125's. We're counting down to the first race here live on FX from Daytona. Don't go away. Welcome back live here on FX in Daytona, a time when many are getting their lunch break or school break. These people ready for a racing break, and the Gatorade Twin 125's anxious to see the guys that they'll see in the Daytona 500. Well, after an offseason of major change among drivers and crew chiefs, there's something that has remained the same. That's the pursuit of speed. Throughout Speed Weeks, our cameras closely followed some crew chiefs in action. Now, these are the guys behind the success of this particular group of Michael Waltrip, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Jarrett. Crew chiefs, they have to sweat out car inspection and a number of other things on the road to the Daytona 500. So here is a slugger, a Chad, and a Parrot.
That's why I went with it.
Yeah, wired for sound. Don't talk to me. This side here.
What part of the quarter-inch gap in the blade don't we understand? Quarter-inch gap.
It says minimum quarter-inch gap.
Minimum? I'll look at the rule book. Must be slotted 1/4 inch.
You work with Jimmy Johnson's crew?
I'm his crew chief.
Crew chief.
Overall needs to go forward, but an eighth.
Overall.
Yep.
Forward an eighth.
Yep.
An eighth?
Where we're
well,
at.
16th.
There's a big difference between eighth and a 16th.
What we need is open this area up in here, however you want to.
We can have the mirror, but we can't have that.
Yeah, just can't close it off.
You got it. You just pass it through. That's what you need to do. You ready to rock and roll? Yep. Ready to do this, brother? Hell yeah. Been a long winter. I'm ready to have some fun myself. All right, boys, let's do this. Open it up, 2003. Come on. Let's do this. Have a good time tonight. Let's go, 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 go.
We'll form up in the outside lane.
Wow. Go ahead and close the right front 2 clicks. Close the right front 2. Now
Right front,
right front, right front. First time over the wall, he's a little nervous. We're going on you, 2 tires. Smoking tires, smoking tires. Should we flat spot the tires? Did you flat spot the tires? Get in here, get in here. More tires, more tires.
Watch this lap right here, Garth. There he goes. Rocket ship. There he goes. 1, 2. There you go. That's what we got to have right there. 3 wide, 3 wide, 3 wide. Oh, what an exciting first practice.
That spring's 150 pounds softer.
Yeah. Getting fat. Excuse me, I am fat. I need to lose some weight.
And by the way, Chad Knaus, crew chief for Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy running in the second of the Twin 125's, hopes not to leave a hanging Chad here in Florida. The crew chiefs here still have a lot of work to do, as do I, with that line. Very little time to do that before the Daytona 500. Let's check in with our crew chief, Jeff Hammond, who is down below the Hollywood Hotel in our Ford Cutaway car. Jeff?
That's right, Chris. There's been a lot of changes going on around here during the Speed Weeks. Guys have changed A-frames, spindles, hubs. They've changed brakes. They've been changing shocks. They've been changing everything, including rear end housing. But the one determining factor this day during the 125s could easily be this little fuel cell right here. It's thrown an unknown into this thing for the first time since 1987. 13 gallons is about what these guys are calling this thing, and it's going to force a pit stop. As we all know, when you come down pit road, a lot of things can go wrong. Isn't that right, Larry?
Well, that's it, Jeff. I mean, for the last 8 to 10 years, we've been coming here knowing that if our car drove good, we would not have to make a pit stop for tires or fuel in the 125-miler. But now, 50-lap race today, they can only run about 35 laps. You know you're going to have to come to pit road to at least get fuel. Based on the way the cars are driving, everybody's probably going to take 2 right-side tires. But you only only get one shot. In a 500-mile race, you can overcome a bad pit stop, but the whole key is going to be no mistakes. No mistakes by your driver, speeding, getting on the pit road or getting off, and whatever you do on that pit stop, those tire changers have to get those lug nuts tight. No mistakes. You only get one shot or you'll be out of the race.
You're exactly right. Just like you were saying a second ago. This little lug nut right here falls off, you're in trouble. The air wrench breaks, you're in trouble again. Or if the jack man doesn't do a good job, everything kind of hinges on these guys and how good they get on off pit road. And, hey, it can make things real unpredictable, Chris.
All right, thanks, Jeff and Larry. And there is Jeff Gordon, who won the first of the Twin 125s last year. In fact, he led all 50 laps. When we come back, we'll explain how drivers can get in to the Daytona 500 if they don't run well today. Don't go away. Getting closer to establishing who's running where and who's in the Daytona 500. Welcome back on FX and the pre-race show to the Gatorade Twin 125s. You're looking live here in Daytona as we get ready for the first of the two races. And after today's first race, the top 15 of the 25 drivers will have qualified for Sunday's race. Then a short break, and then the second group, 25, they go out. Another 15 will have made the field. And then it gets a little bit, that's 3 through 30 in the positions. And after that, 31 through 36 based on the time trials from Monday's qualifying. Then positions 37 through 42 on provisionals based on 2002 car owners points. And then the last position to pass NASCAR Winston Cup champ, or next position in car owner points. On the front row established earlier in the week, Jeff Green, the fastest qualifying time. He'll share that with Dale Earnhardt Jr. And there are 15 other drivers who have at least nailed down a spot in the race Sunday that you'll see on Fox. But the actual positions, those still need to be determined. That's what they're working on. They're trying to enhance their spot. And a Richard Childress car being on the pole, not a surprise, although some may be a little bit shocked by Jeff Green. But how about Dale Earnhardt Jr.? No surprise with the DEI car and the week that he's had already.
No, Chris, they continue to get stronger and stronger. Each time they show up at a racetrack, especially a restrictor plate racetrack, it seems it's no matter whether it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. muscling his way to the front and coming through on Saturday night shootout. I mean, he really showed how strong this team is and how strong this car is and how much more improved he really is. I mean, he just gets better each time he gets on the racetrack.
And focusing on the 500, the emphasis on that came from 19th, which was last in that Budweiser shootout on Saturday night to win. And our Dick Berggren is standing by with a little lead. Dick?
Thanks, Chris. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will start on the front row of the Daytona 500, barring unforeseen problems in this 125-miler. So do you cruise? Do you try to win this thing? What are you going to do?
You try to win. I mean, you got to go for the trophy. We got such a good car. We got a better race car in the trailer, so no matter what happens, we're going to be great in the 500.
I don't think he knows how to cruise anyway.
And thank you very much, Dick. The smile of Little Lee, you can't help but think of his late great father, Dale Earnhardt, who, by the way, in the Twin 125s from 90 through 99, every one that he ran in, he won. That was a terrific success rate. As far as the speed we've already seen here, we had a couple of guys, Ricky Rudd, Sterling Marlin, break the 190-mile-per-hour barrier. Will we see a little bit of that today?
It all depends on whether or not these guys go side by side or not, Chris. That's going to have a lot to do with it. If you get lined up, these speeds will come up. If you go side by side, they'll slow back down. But the biggest thing right now, a lot of the guys that are running the second race are watching to see what happens in this first race. It will kind of set the tone for what goes on the rest of the day.
All right, and there's our pole sitter, Jeff Green, a star in the Busch Series, trying to make a name for himself on the Winston Cup circuit, and what a better place to do it than Daytona in Speed Weeks. We'll come back as we count you down to the Twin 125s on FX. FX welcomes you back as we get ready for the Gatorade Twin 125s. 2 races in one day, getting ready to go as the drivers are gearing up for the first. Let's check in with our pit crew. They'll be keeping us up to date all afternoon. And we begin with Dick Berggren. Dick?
Ricky Craven, Brett Bodine, Derek Cope, Jimmy Spencer, Johnny Benson, all Winston Cup winners who at one time or another in their career failed to make the Daytona 500 because of trouble in these 125 milers. These are big races. Matt?
Dick, we've talked a lot about drafting partners this past week. Today we're going to talk about pitting partners. Robbie Gordon and Jeff Gordon, Ward Burton, Steve Park, and pole sitter Jeff Green have all worked out somewhat of a game plan to try to pit together without the rest of the pack to try to lessen the chances for bad luck or misfortune here on pit road. But just like in Saturday night shootout, everybody sees one guy come, the rest of the field usually follows. To Steve Burns.
Well, Matt, teammates Robbie Gordon and Jeff Green start in the front row. Their teammate Kevin Harvick starts in the second row in the second race. What's the secret? What's the tip? How about hard work? They've been working 14 hours a day from 7 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night with no days off since testing in the middle of January. To the Hollywood Hotel.
All right, Steve. Chevrolet, 32 wins compared to just 18 when you talk about manufacturers in the history of the Twin 125s. And here this week, we've seen it already, Jeff. Who can run with the Chevys?
Well, Ricky Rudd, for one. Kurt Busch, don't really like Dale Jarrett. There's a lot of these guys right now when they get kind of ganged up here. I think they can do something with them. And Sterling Marlin, he always runs good here at Daytona. So these guys can get the job done if they just work together.
Speaking of Sterling Marlin, he is the last. In fact, the winner of the first of the 125s has gone on to win the Daytona 500 5 times. Sterling Marlin, the last to do it in 1995. Jeff Gordon certainly gearing up and ready to go. What do you expect from him today?
I really expect him to run well. I talked to some of his crew members early on, and they've been kind of like, I think, holding it a little bit. So Sterling's going to cut her loose today and see if he can take her on to victory lane.
But the pressure on people like Kenny Wallace and Jimmy Spencer to run well or go home. And we will be here throughout the day as Jeff and I get ready for those words. Gentlemen, start your engines. The second most famous words in racing are Darrell Waltrip's boogity, boogity, boogity. And here are those words as performed by some of America's racing idols.
Express yourself. All right, DW, the boogity, boogity, boogity is getting old. We just can't quite follow the lingo. I mean, it's not in any encyclopedia, dictionary. What is that? What is boogity? Sounds like booger.
Boogity, boogity, boogity sounds good, but we don't know what it means.
My opinion of boogity, boogity, boogity is that I wouldn't say it. I don't think it has any meaning, no relevance.
But let me tell you something, that boogity, boogity, boogity that you do, here's my version of your boogity, boogity, boogity. It sucks. Here's how you ought to do it. Here they come off at turn 4. Get off your seats and on your feet. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Woo!
I kind of laid on Casanova style. Hey, this is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Boogity, boogity, boogity.
An ecstasy.
NASCAR on FX presents the Gatorade 125's to set the field for the 45th annual Daytona 500. The main grandstand is full of fans waiting to see the most frantic 50 laps of Speed Weeks times 2. At the weekly tracks, they call these the suitcase races because it's go or pack up and go home. Last chance to qualify for many of the drivers in this field. Let's go trackside for today's opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Daytona Beach Police Department Honor Guard presents today's colors. And that will be followed by our invocation presented by the Reverend Hal Marchman.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for this wonderful part of the world in which we live. With all of these good fans gathered here and all of the specialists who make these races interesting, we invoke your blessings upon us all today. Shalom and amen.
Please remain standing as Julia Davidson Trujillo sings our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in
Thank you, Julia. And ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to the 4 Air Force T-38s from the 435th Fighter Training Squadron based at Moody Air Force Base. Now here to give the command, please welcome back the Grand Marshal for Gatorade 125 race number 1, Mr. Justin Johnson.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Many different agendas among the drivers in this and the second race. Jeff Green will start the Daytona 500 from the pole, but alongside him starts Robbie Gordon. He could start the 500 as high as 3rd or as low as 37th or anywhere in between. That's the wild way this race goes. Hi everybody and welcome to Daytona. Mike Joy with 500 champ Darrell Waltrip and winning crew chief Larry McReynolds. Well, Thursday, here we are. And how about Robbie Gordon? He can start 3rd, he can start 37th, and it all depends on these 50 laps.
Mike, I'm going to put myself in that race car. I'm a race car driver. They're running 125 miles of racing today. They're going to drop a green flag. They're going to give a trophy, and they're going to pay a purse. I want it. Don't talk to me about the Daytona 500. We'll worry about that after these races are over with. I just want to win this race. I want to leave here with a trophy.
Well, worry on the mind of some of these crew chiefs because you do not have enough gas to go 50 laps.
No, I've been agonizing over this pit stop all week long down here. I know I have to be on pit road at some point to get tires and fuel probably. Now, the thing about it, if we can run about 35 to 40 laps, if we get a caution, we're about lap 10 to 12, I'm going to be on my own agenda. I'm going to get on pit road. I'm going to get my pit stop behind me with hopes that it'll go green the rest of the way. But if it goes green, I'm going to come in late as I can. I'm going to stay out and run as long as I can, get those 2 tires and fuels. But you know what? If I'm one of those guys that's desperate to get in this field, I may roll the dice. Fuel only. Driver, you're going to have to try to hang on and see if you can get us in this field.
You just work with me. Don't work against me.
There you go.
A lot of different agendas as drivers work to qualify for the Daytona 500 in these Gatorade 125's. You ready? Here we go. Welcome back to Daytona, where the action is fast and furious, whether on the land or in the air. The Gatorade 125's are set to roll. They're on the pace lap. They'll run 50 laps, 25 cars in each race. And they will have to pit, Larry.
There's that pit window, 35 to 37 laps. That's about 13 to 15 laps shy of the race. But again, Darrell, I want to run as far as I can. Hope I have some partners to come with me because I can't be on pit road by myself. That won't work in the draft.
Larry, Mike, let's see if we can talk to Jeff Green here, our pole setter. And Jeff Green, DW up in Fox Sports Tower. How do you read, bud?
DW, come on.
What's the game plan, man? You got a fast hot rod. You're on the pole today and the 500. What you going to do?
Well, we're going to try to keep a lot of these guys behind us, all of them, if we can. And if we can do that, we'll roll into victory lane. But if not, we're just going to try to play as hard. We got a good starting place for Sunday. We come down here to win the Daytona 500, and we're not going to let anything stand in front of us if we can help it.
Are you as fast in race trim as you were in qualifying trim, Jeff?
I think we are, DW. It's pretty exciting to be driving an old Chevrolet as fast as this thing is. So we're just going to try to take care of today. And somebody told me they're giving trophies away in Victory Circle over today. So we're going to try to get one of those things.
Well, go on over and get you some. How about it? And show them folks back in Owensboro how these Owensboro boys can drive.
Sure, man. Just watch.
10-4. Have at it.
Of the 25 drivers in this race, Jeff Green is the only one who knows where he will start on Sunday, and that will be the pole. His Richard Childress Racing teammate is Robbie Gordon right alongside. He could start 3rd or 37th on Sunday. In row 2, 2 of the fastest boards here. Ricky Rudd for the Wood Brothers and Dale Jarrett for Robert Yates Racing. Right behind them, like Noah's Ark, a pair of Dodges, Sterling Marlin and Jamie McMurray, both for Chip Ganassi and Felix Abadis Racing. Then it's Joe Nemechek in a Chevrolet for Rick Hendrick, and Ricky Craven and Cal Wells Pontiac. Steve Park in a Chevy, and last year's 500 champ Ward Burton in a Dodge. Greg Biffle, the Busch Series champion, and Casey Mears in a Dodge, both rookie candidates. Matt Kenseth, his 5 wins last year, led the league. Kenny Wallace trying to make his 7th 500. Jeff Gordon, 125 winner on 2 occasions, and Johnny Benson, who won last fall at the Rock. Larry Foyt makes his Winston Cup debut, and Jimmy Spencer, the former modified champ. Terry Labonte, who won the fastest 125 ever, and David Green, a former Busch Series champion. Brett Bodine finished 5th here in 1994 in this race. Mike Skinner won it 2 years ago. Jeff Burton, twice a 3rd place finisher in these qualifying races, and the 1990 Daytona 500 champion, Derek Cope. Finally, Mike Harmon, trying to graduate out of the NASCAR Busch Series, will start 25th.
Let's take a look at the weather now. Track conditions, 62 degrees, track temperature 85 degrees. That's about as hot as the track temperature has been here. But one thing that really plays havoc with these drivers, these cars, is that wind. Right now it's from the north at 12 to 15 miles an hour. We look at the flag in the middle of the infield, has quite the headwind, and that will really play with these race cars off of turn 2 and down that backstretch.
Steve Burns.
Hey, Larry Mack, Sterling Marlin just said that very thing to team manager Tony Glover. He said there's a strong crosswind coming off of 2. Tony Glover said, yeah, there's a lot of headwind down the backstretch, meaning it may be tough to make some moves back there, but he closed it by saying, Sterling Marlin, it's great to have you back in this race car.
And Stephen DW, one of those critical places on this racetrack is turn 2. Even in normal conditions without wind, the further you go with these cars, they want to push. The front end wants to slide coming off turn 2, and you'll go right up against the wall. With that crosswind, that's going to magnify that, so you've got to kind of give yourself a little cushion there, Darrell.
Yeah, right here, this is where we're talking about off of turn 2 right there, as the cars come off that corner. You can see how the car comes off of that turn. It's in the banking, and as it comes off the turn, out of the banking, it goes down on the flat of the straightaway. That's a transition where the car is rolled over, and it wants to go to the wall. Driver has to work real hard to keep it off there. Now you got the wind that's going to even push it out there harder. So we're liable to see a lot of action right over there.
Now, Darrell, that headwind will make it tough to pull out and pass, but will it be helpful to cars further back in the draft?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got three wide in front of you, and they're breaking the wind up for you. You're going to get a whale of a run. Problem is, you ain't going to have anywhere to go. But the other thing about it is, Mike, you got headwind down the back. But where I think we need to keep an eye out is down in turn 1. Because you're going to have a tailwind going into turn 1, and that turn is really loose when you get in there with somebody right behind you. We've already seen an accident already in practice down there by the cars getting buffed around by the wind.
For the next 50 laps, Darrell, we're going to see smart driving. We're going to see brave driving. We may see some desperate driving.
But here's what we are going to see. We're going to see some exciting racing. That's the thing. These races are exciting. And you go into it, and trust me, I'm a race driver. I got my helmet on. I'm in a race car. I'm not thinking about anything except what Jeff Green said. I'm going to go to Victory Circle and get that trophy.
And we have 2 cars had to go to the rear of the field. They were already pretty close to the rear. Mike Skinner and Jeff Burton, who was involved in that practice crash, had to go to backup cars, so they are starting at the rear of the field.
This race will decide rows 2 through 15 on the inside for the Daytona 500 as we get set to come to the flag. Darrell, lay it on him Casanova style.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. And of course, Larry, you saw right away the 2 teammates jump right in behind each other.
Well, Ricky Rudd opened the door to let Robbie Gordon in the 31 down in front of him, and that's exactly what Robbie Gordon did, and that's what he should do, get behind his teammate.
I'm sure they wanted to do that. They probably didn't think it's going to be that easy, but that's a perfect setup. Now, they might be able to run the whole race that way.
Did they seem pretty slow coming down for the start?
They really did, but, you know, it's the first start of the year for everybody. They might be a little rusty. It'll take them a while to get their game face on here, maybe. Well, we're already below the yellow line.
Greg Biffle number 16.
And the reason you'll hear us talk about below the yellow line, that's out of bounds. If you go below that out of bounds line anywhere around this racetrack and gain position, they're going to bring you to pit road with a black flag.
Yeah, that's the key. If you advance your position, then they can bring you in. They can bring you in and warn you about that if they elect to.
The top 14 finishers, not including Jeff Green, who's already locked into the pole, will earn spots in the Daytona 500 from their finish in this race.
Jamie McMurray in the outside line in the 42 car, he's getting a line of cars behind him. I'm going to be anxious to see how that outside line goes. It was really good in the Bud Shootout Saturday night.
3 wide behind them.
And you'll hear us say 3 wide a lot. And yeah, this racetrack looks wide enough for 3 wide, but the way these cars move around, especially with the wind, it'll get you in trouble.
Well, you just have to trust the guys around you so much. There's no room for error when you get 3 wide. That's why we get so excited about it.
Jeff Gordon battling Johnny Benson and Matt Kenseth for the final transfer spot, which right now is 15th. And as long as Jeff Green is in that top 15, it's the 15th position overall that earns the final transfer position.
Or as you said, Mike, the top 14 positions not including Jeff Green.
Correct.
Got some great in-car camera shots, not only of the cars on the track, but some great looks at the drivers inside the cars as we go along here.
In line with you.
I think Jeff Gordon's trying to get up on that outside and make it work because he knows it worked against him in the Bud Shootout Saturday night.
Pretty much have the top 21 cars in the lead draft. 4 cars at the back are about to lose that draft. Mike Harmon, Jeff Burton, Derek Cope, and Mike Skinner. They're trying to stay lined up to catch that group back. As long as you can stay lined up in a draft, you can do it much easier.
Jeff Gordon, 7,200 RPM coming off that corner.
That's a lot of RPM. I mean, these engines usually make peak power right around 7,000, so he's probably a little past his power band.
Yeah, but the better you're in a draft, the more you're lined up, the more RPMs you're going to turn.
But we've heard all week, Larry, about gear selection. Seems like this year, for some odd reason, everybody's playing with the gears more, turning the engines more than they have in the past. See, right now, if you're Jeff Gordon, you're back in there. You've got a fast car. You proved that Saturday night. But where are you going to go? I mean, you're boxed. It's like going down the interstate. You'd like to move over and get in the fast lane and go on, but you can't because there's cars all around you.
Jamie McMurray is leading that group up in the high lane. Darrell, they made progress, got up alongside the third-place car there, but that's as far as he's been able to get.
I think they'll make it, though. I think they keep working that outside. It just seems like the cars can really get into the corner good on the outside.
There's Jamie McMurray in the black 42 car.
Matt Yoakum.
And Mike, remember the drivers who are in this race and without a safety net for Sunday's 500, they have to keep in mind that yellow line. Last year in the Twin 125, pole sitter for the 500, Jimmy Johnson, went below the line, improved his position, and was black flagged. Guys who don't have a safety net, they have to keep that in mind.
And the drivers in this race who are most at risk: Mike Skinner, Jimmy Spencer, Brett Bodine, Kenny Wallace, Derek Cope, David Green, and Mike Harmon. Steve?
The number 31 car of Robbie Gordon. Robbie radioed in and said he wants to run the high line, but his crew chief Kevin Hamlin told him to stay low. Robbie is afraid the outer line is going to be faster.
Oh, I definitely agree. These guys are inch by inch, step by step, are working their way right up to the front. Once they get to the front, they're going to take the lead.
Jamie McMurray is now pulled even with the second-place car of Robbie Gordon. Jeff Green leads after 5 laps.
Pull up to Mr. Martin's car.
Follow him.
Faster. Speed up.
You can take the driver out of the race, but you can't take the race out of the driver.
Next week we'll work on parallel parking.
Jeff Green has led every one of 8 laps so far in this first of the Gatorade 125's, and he has 5 veterans lined up single file right on his rear bumper.
And they are not coming up off the bottom of the racetrack. They're down low all the way down the straightaway. It's making it very difficult for that outside line to pull itself up there.
There you see the Fox tracks on our leader, Jeff Green, in a 30 car, 186 miles an hour off turn 3.
Now, one of those drivers, Robbie Gordon, who is Green's teammate, saw Jamie McMurray coming up the outside and wanted permission to go. Here's the communication with his crew chief.
You want me to stay with him, or if the outside line looks like it's going to go, can I go?
No, stay with him. Stand above and stay in line. You'll be fine.
10-4, stay in line, copy clearly.
Wise words from Kevin Hamlin.
And it takes so much discipline to race a restrictor plate race. You've got to listen to your crew chief. He said stay in line. He could probably pull out and pass, or he could go to the outside. But what's going to happen? The next thing you know, he and his teammate will be in the back.
Well, and another reason I think Kevin Hamlin's thinking this way, right now we know we have a green flag pit stop coming late in this race, and the best place to be for that pit stop is up there where Robbie Gordon's at right now in the 31 in second.
I think the guy back there in that 24 car is the guy who's getting a little frustrated right now. Jeff's moving around. He's doing some blocking. Just doesn't seem to be able to go anywhere.
Here you see the Fox tracks on the 4 car, Mike Skinner. He's back in the pack. He's back in 16th, 184, 185 miles an hour. But I'm going to tell you guys, this new rule package, which is all the cars being aero equal, I think it's working. It wasn't 3 laps ago that Mike Skinner was 10 car lengths behind the pack.
What's wrong with Dale Jarrett?
Yeah, well,
he
I
just
think
faded right out of the picture.
No, he went in the corner. He got loose, and the car took off up the hill. And when he did, Kenny Wallace drove right under him. Gosh. I don't think Jarrett's car is real good because I saw him get to the outside. He tried to lead Jamie McMurray back up through there, and they couldn't do it.
And Jarrett has now fallen to 22nd, the former 500 winner. Check that 17th he is.
Car looks very unstable right now to me.
There you see on the Fox tracks, he's about 2 3/4 seconds behind our leader, Jeff Green, right now.
The best move up of the day, Brett Bodine started 21st. He has climbed to 9th. Let's go to Mike Skinner's pit. Steve?
And Skinner's got to race his way in. Chris Carrier, the crew chief, can he make it?
I think we can. We've had a kind of a roller coaster week, up and down. We got in a little mess down here the other day, messed up our primary car, but the Kodak team really stepped up. These guys did an excellent job. Both the guys back at the shop in here getting a backup car ready. It ran really good yesterday in practice. We're doing all we can. I bought Jeff Gordon's dinner the other night and told him I needed a drafting partner, so I'm out of money. I'm out of time. We're done all we can.
Might be a good investment, Matt Yoakum.
Steve, Dale Jarrett just spoke to his new crew chief, Brad Parrott, and said the car is just way too tight. I cannot keep it on the bottom, and that's why Jarrett is slowly fading to the back.
Here's the thing to keep in mind, Mike. We know we got to make a pit stop, right, Larry? So some of these guys like Jeff Gordon and maybe even Dale Jarrett, they say, okay, I know when I make a pit stop, I got a great pit crew. I'm not going to end up here after the pit stops.
But I tell you, Darrell, the thing I don't like about that is the fact we know it's one pit stop. Go back to the Bud shootout. They all come to pit road at one time, all get stacked up. The safest place to be even come to pit road is leading the pack in or at the front of the pack.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it takes great communication between spotters and drivers, all the spotters and all the drivers, to not cause a wreck getting on pit road.
Right now, the boy on the bubble, and you're looking off his rear bumper, Kenny Wallace. Currently 15th. That is the final transfer spot into the 500. You see Jimmy Spencer, who's going to have to claw his way up a couple of positions to make the race on Sunday.
Well, of course, Spencer missed this race last year. I think he'd be devastated if he didn't make it this year.
Jimmy's in number 7. Jim Smith's Ford.
And just like last year, he was in the race at one point, but then something happened and he got involved in it and took himself out.
Mike, Darrell, Larry, I was sitting down there watching. I talked to Tommy Baldwin earlier about Jimmy Spencer's car. He said the car was very good. He was just trying to get Jimmy to be very patient, not to abuse the tires too much. And he said right now, Jeff, the critical part of this whole race is whether or not we can get on and off pit road without flat spotting the tires. He said, I'm really thinking about gassing and going so I don't have to worry about making a mistake by one of the guys.
Boy, Jeff Green almost opened the door there to let Robbie Gordon go to the inside. If that ever happens, I don't think that'd be a very good move.
Spencer is in a Dodge. They have a high percentage of the field.
And here's another thing, Mike, Larry. These guys, the guys that ran the Bud Shootout the other night, they know that the cars are going to go through a little transition here very shortly. Tires, fuel, the whole thing. The car goes through a change. And some of these guys that run pretty good right now, the handle may go away, and then it'll be a little easier to pass. Right now, everybody's on pretty fresh tires, and the cars are all handling pretty good.
Hey, right now, I believe it's Kenny Wallace in that 23 car. He's trying to drag Jeff Gordon in the 24 up on the outside. They just don't have enough help to do it up there, though. The inside line's still the preferred line.
3 wide, 14's in the middle.
Larry Foyt got caught in the middle right there. That's not a very comfortable place to be, particularly for a rookie. And 3 wide through the corner with somebody right up under you like it. Ooh, that's Ward Burton right there. That's when they get in trouble off of turn 2 over there. Is when they come off 3 wide like that.
Foyt in the yellow 14 is one of the drivers who needs to race his way in. When we say that, we mean he probably does not have enough owner points from last year to get a provisional, and his qualifying speed wasn't high enough to get one of those 6 positions.
Well, he was trying real hard, desperately, to hang on to that middle right there, but that's a dangerous place for a rookie to be.
And right now, he's waiting for that spotter to say clear high or clear low because he has no help. He is stuck in the middle. He can't go anywhere.
He's going to be clear all the way to the rear here in a minute if the way things are going.
Skinner, Foyt, Gordon, 3 abreast, turn 2.
And they've been running this way about 2 laps right now without changing.
See how the cars wiggle and wobble, just kind of backwards and forth? That's the wind blowing them around. It's not the drivers doing that. It's the buffing of the wind off the cars and then that headwind.
Look at 99, Jeff Burton, who had to go to the rear of this field in a backup car. He's climbed up to 11.
Yeah, he's made a couple of good moves, Mike.
And what of Dale Jarrett, who has dropped well back in this field now to 22nd? We picked up some audio from Dale.
3 wide, still 3 wide. Yeah, I can't keep this friggin' thing down for some reason. It will not turn.
Jarrett goes into the corner. He wants to turn. The car wants to go straight.
Well, and of course, now that's sending a message back to the pits. What are we going to do, crew chief? What are we going to do to fix this now? Or help me anyway.
And we only get 1 shot at fixing it, but I'm going to tell you, it happened awfully early in the run, Darrell. That's the thing. I mean, I had you run 25, 30 laps in a row, and it didn't show up.
Whoa, that 42. All right, but you see what he did. He backed off. He didn't advance his position, but when he had to back off, look what happened. The whole field went by him. But that's still better than coming to pit road.
Jeff Burton and Jeff Gordon, that bright orange flash that just went by, trying to move 3 wide and climb up into the top 15. Right now, the man on the bubble is Terry Labonte. Little help? Lean on me just a little.
Oh, yeah. That feels good, like I knew that it would. This is going to bump draft, and bam, right there. These cars are so underpowered that when you give them a little shot in the rear like that right there, it shoots you right past the guy that you're trying to pass. That's what happened to Jeff Gordon in the Bud Shootout. Ryan Newman came up behind Dale Jr., gave him a bump going into 3, shot him right to the lead.
11 cars are single file, but the big action is right around that 15th position, the transfer spot that right now is held by Ricky Craven. Craven has it. Larry Foyt is 1 spot away. Among those running well, Steve Park up there in 6th position. Let's go to his pit and Matt.
Mike, there is major concern in Park's pit about the Pennzoil Chevy running way too hot. Steve reported to crew chief Tony Gibson the water temperatures climbed to 260 degrees. Park told spotter Stevie Reeves to tell the teams behind him that he is going to start poking the nose out to try to cool that water temperature down, so the teams behind won't try to make a run and gang up on him or think that he's going to try to pull out and make a pass as well. He's going to try to wait until they can pull a little bit of tape off the front on their pit stop.
I mean, that's going to be very important that those spotters let those competitors know every time he sticks that nose out, he's not trying to make a pass, he's just trying to cool it down. But I think what this is a product of the new noses on these cars. The crew chief, the teams don't know how they need to be taped yet to let air into the radiator.
Yeah, it's one of those unknowns about these new cars.
We've heard this all week long. Tony Stewart in the Bud Shootout. Rusty Wallace in the Bud Shootout. It's been going on all week.
Did you see that?
Well, things heated up at third place. Sterling Marlin got up on the outside of Ricky Rudd.
Now there's
the field
16.
goes 2 and 3 wide behind him.
Greg Biffle in the 16. He was below that yellow line quite a ways, almost all 4 wheels.
And now look, I mean, you can't advance your position. You get out of the throttle just a teeny bit, and a lot of cars go by you. It's so inviting. I mean, it's, you know, there's a lane down there. I can go down there and pass people, but it's not legal.
Well, Darrell, Christmas has come and gone since our last NASCAR on Fox episode. A lot of those folks got surround sound for Christmas.
I bet they did.
I'll bet it's time. Crank it up. Closing down on Derek Cope, who will go a lap down. But as Jeff Green sniffs out a draft on Cope, well, that changed the mix a little bit.
Well, that's what the spotters are telling their drivers right now. All right, look up here. We got a slow car. That's to give the drivers time to know where he wants to. It depends on where they catch him. To catch him on the back straightaway shouldn't be any problem. But if you're racing down here 3 wide and you run up on a slow car, look out.
Dale Jarrett has slid to nearly the back end of this lead draft, 21st position. Matt?
Mike, 3-time Daytona 500 winner Dale Jarrett has continued to dissect his race car. Now he thinks he has an equalized tire. He's going to try to hold on until their scheduled pit stop somewhere in the low to mid 30s today.
Jeff Gordon is complaining that his car is pushing. They're going to try to fix that when they make their pit stop. Johnny Benson in car number 10 has lost the draft. He's having problems with both ends of the race car. Some places it's loose, some places it's tight.
We need to explain what an equalized tire is. These tires have here at a super speedway, they have an inner tire. It's a tire within a tire, and it's mainly there in case the outer tire goes flat or cuts down just for safety. You have to run about 20 pounds more air pressure in that inner tire than you do the outer tire, but if the air bleeds across to one another and the air pressure equals in the inner and outer, it was what we call an equalized tire. It will cause a heck of a vibration and make that car drive terrible. You won't know what's wrong with it.
Oh, no, and I really and truly, I talked to Rusty Wallace. That's what happened to him in the Bud Shootout. Fortunately, right at the caution, he said that thing was shaking so bad he couldn't even hold his hands on the steering wheel. So if it's equalized, I don't think he can stay out there.
Jeff Green has led every lap, but the battle is at the transfer spot. The last spot right now to make the 500 is held by Jeff Burton ahead of Ricky Craven. 31 laps complete out of 50, all of them under the green flag. But Larry, we're getting close.
We're within about 3 or 4 laps of that fuel window. We know that most of these cars have been coming to pit road. There you see our fuel gauges on Jeff Green, Robbie Gordon, and Ricky Rudd. Just a few laps left in those fuel tanks.
Larry, somebody's coming. Here they come.
Here comes the 2 leaders. Jeff Green in the 30, Robbie Gordon in the 31, Ricky Rudd in the 21. He's on pit road. Steve Park in the 1. About half the field, a little over half the field's on pit road. Steve Burns.
Jeff Green's going to get right side tires. Robbie Gordon in the 31 comes to stop just behind him. Right side tires only for the 30 and fuel the 31. Robbie Gordon been complaining that he's a little bit tight. Service is complete. He can't get by the 99. Let's go to Matt.
A 2-tire stop for Ricky Rudd. Service already complete. He is going to beat the 31 off pit road.
and they're pushing Mike Skinner's car, which will not fire at the center of pit road.
And he's just losing precious time on pit road. The rest of the cars that pitted with him is already gone.
Get some lead for the boys and help him.
This is the mistakes right here. You can't have this. This could be the difference in Mike Skinner making the Daytona 500 or not making it. The second group is on pit road for their pit stop.
Dick Berggren.
Jeff Gordon is going to make his pit stop right now. He has complained that the car is pushing so badly that he cannot stay on the bottom of the racetrack. The plan, put 2 right side tires on the car, try to loosen it up. He has been working with his teammate Terry Labonte and also the 22 Ward Burton. Burton also going to take 2 outside tires to Matt.
Service complete for Joe Nemechek. They were going to stick with their teammates. That's why they only took on 2 tires for Nemechek.
This may break this race into 2 packs, depending on how quickly this group gets off pit road.
Maybe even more. Looked like maybe 3 packs.
I think we're going to have them. We're going to really have them scattered all over the place, actually.
There's Larry Fort right there in the 14 car. We know he has to finish in the top 15 to get in this race, and he's having trouble on pit road.
His day may be over. Took him a long time to get to his pit, Larry, and he was a little blocked by a car coming out as he tried to get in, so he exits pit road by himself.
Well, they were racing out of the pits down here. Watch this. The 30, the 31. Woo. Now come on down here and watch the 21. Here comes the 21. Now the 30's going to shoot in here. Look, he nerfed him.
Darrell, the reason it was so close, Jeff Green had to pit way to the outside of the pit box because of the 99 right there. It was very tough for Green to get out. He had to clear Jeff Burton's car getting out, and that's why he almost put his teammate out in the grass.
There's just as much racing in the pits, even with the pit road speed, almost as there is on the racetrack, because everybody knows how crucial that is.
All right, let's reset the leaders after this round of pit stops. Robbie Gordon, Jeff Green, Ricky Rudd, Matt Kenseth, Joe Nemechek, Jeff Gordon, and back at the transfer spot, Kenny Wallace, 15th. Ricky Craven 1 spot away.
Now, 2 teammates, 31 and 30 up in the front there, Green and Gordon. Is Green going to try to go around Gordon, or is he going to follow him home now?
Now, I'm going to tell you, we showed Mike Skinner on pit road a while ago had that problem. He went from running in the top 10. Now he is almost 2/3 of a lap behind, and he only has 1 car out there he's working with right now. I believe that's Larry Foyt, and they are about a half a track behind. The only way they're going to get in the Daytona 500 probably is a caution here in these last laps.
15 laps to go to set the inside row, positions 1 through 15 for Sunday's Daytona 500. We'll come back and take you all the way to the checkered flag on FX.
Tuesday.
10.5 laps to go. 8 cars in front of 4. Then 1, then 5, single file around Daytona International Speedway. But trouble on this yellow car right there. Steve Part. Earlier it was noted he was overheating. Look at that base of the windshield. A lot of water coming out that overflow.
That's the overflow tube from the radiator, and when the water gets so hot, we heard him talk about it being 260 degrees, and evidently it just kept going up. That's where the water goes out. Here with 10 laps to go, Darrell, I don't know if it's going to make it.
I'd be surprised if it does. It'll quit. The water will quit coming out of it here very shortly because it's going to run out of water, and that's when the problem will start. He'll cook the engine, and it'll probably start smoking.
Matt has more.
Well, Stevie Reeves, the team spotter, told Steve that the water is still coming out the overflow, so that's the good news. They still have some water left. 10 laps to go. They told him just to keep digging, run it as long as you can.
Now Park is in 13th. Behind him, Terry Labonte and Kenny Wallace on the bubble. The next man back is Ricky Craven. There you see that little bit of water continue to come out from Steve Park's car. Now, Robbie Gordon, now that he has the lead, still a lot of conversation between Robbie Gordon and his spotter.
Robbie, Jeff said keep that thing on the bottom all the way around the racetrack. They can't pass you. He said keep it on the bottom all the way around the racetrack. They can't pass you.
That's pretty good instructions. That's not from the crew chief. That's not from the spotter. That's from owner Richard Childress.
I was going to say, I thought that was Childress. And that's Green, who was leading the race. He lost the lead on the pit stop. And he knows what he was doing to stay in the front. So he passes that information along to his teammate. And now it's his turn.
and Jeff Green's going to be on the pole, he'd like to see his teammates start behind him in third.
Start right behind him.
Now Jeff Green pitted as the leader and came out second. Steve Burns.
Mike, that pit stop was a near disaster for Jeff Green. Now, all the teams have to pit inside these white lines or they're penalized. Jeff Burton pitted in the far right rear corner, and Jeff Green had a hard time going around him. But Jeff Green took responsibility after to stop, telling his guys, it's my fault. I should have stopped shorter. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Usually the spotter conversation that we hear about Jeff Gordon is how to pass cars. The conversation today is that he should stay on the bottom of the racetrack because nobody can pass him. So far, Gordon has passed more cars in the pits than he has on the speedway. Good pit work did that. To Matt.
Dale Jarrett runs in 12th. Before his pit stop, he thought he had an equalized tire. The team changed right sides only. Goodyear engineers looked at the tires. The tires were fine. Now DJ thinks maybe it's the shock package in the front. It's giving him the weird vibration. That's why he thought he might have had an equalized right front.
Whoa,
checkup.
Man, Jimmy Spencer over there, who was in really good shape, and he let Jeff Gordon kind of lead him to the outside, and Spencer's going to pay the price.
Greg Biffle got underneath him, and so now the 99 of Jeff Burton. This car brushed the wall. Rookie Casey Mears.
In the 41 car.
And picking up on DJ, what he's experiencing is that buffing of that headwind. And it's making his car buck up and down as it goes down the straightaway.
I don't have any tire smoke on the right side.
I believe Steve Park in the one car has finally decided this thing is done. Stick me with a fork, I'm done.
So the shock package causes that buffing, and when you're not got enough rebound in it, it'll kind of make the front end rear up and make you think your tires are bad.
Let's show you what happened to rookie driver Casey Mears, nephew of Rick Mears, the four-time Indy winner.
There it is, Darrell. You just run out of racetrack over there in turn 2.
He kissed it ever so lightly.
Steve Park has gone to the garage. He'll have to depend on his time trial speed or his car owner points from last season.
And I tell you,
him in the 500.
Coming off, Spencer's the one that really, I mean, he was sitting there right behind Jeff Gordon. And Jeff moved to the outside to try to make a pass. And Jimmy went with him. Jeff made it, but Jimmy didn't.
And now Jimmy Spencer in that 7, the white and blue car, stuck in the middle again. Now, Jeff Gordon's going to get some help from one of his Hendrick teammates, Dick Berggren.
Well, maybe he will, maybe he won't. He has asked that Joe Nemechek in the 25, the car running directly in front of him, back up to him. Well, is Nemechek going to do that or not? Gordon's plan, let Nemechek back up to him. The two of them make a run to the front. We'll see.
I know you're a four-time champ there, Jeff, but I ain't going to be doing no backing up today, baby.
Nemechek is 4th. Gordon is 5th. There's only about 2 or 3 car lengths between them.
We have 17 cars in that lead pack, and remember, the top 15, including Jeff Green, will transfer to the Daytona 500.
And Jamie McMurray, who's a rookie, has taken that 15th spot now from Kenny Wallace.
4 laps to go this time by.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about everybody else's, but the heart rate's picking up.
Now, Ward Burton, or rather, Matt Kenseth to the outside of McMurray. That's the battle for the last transfer spot right there.
This lead pack, they're going to catch a lap car here in a couple of laps. They'll catch that car before the end of this race, probably with about 2 to go.
The guy that's just sat there and kind of kept his nose clean is Ricky Rudd. He's not made any effort at all to pass anybody, but if he's got a fast car behind him, he might be waiting for a last lap move with some help from somebody. How about it, Matt?
And DW, he just told Eddie Wood, one of the co-owners on the legendary Wood Brothers team, he is going to try to stay in line and protect that bottom.
Well, Matt, he's the meat in the sandwich. He's a Ford in between 2 sets of Chevrolets. He's not going to get a lot of help, probably.
2 teammates, Ricky Rudd, 2 teammates.
15th position, Matt Kenseth has it. Terry Labonte, number 5, wants it. Now, Labonte is in the 500. Past champions provisional. At least he'll make the show, but he can move up in the starting lineup if he can break the top 15.
And Mike, Jeff Gordon just went to the outside off the 2 over there trying to get around his teammate there. This is going to shake things up. We're coming down here. He's not going to wait till the last lap. He's trying to make his move now.
And he's getting help from the 16 car, Greg Biffle, and that's Biffle's teammate, the 99 car, Jeff Burton, on the inside.
And that's in a backup car, 99 is, so he's doing a great job in the race.
You got 2 laps to go, Darrell. Teammates? I don't have any teammates. Not now.
You'll look at the tail of the field right there, the red and white car, Casey Mears in the 41. This is his first Winston Cup start. Here he's trying to get in the Daytona 500.
Boy, the 99 just forced his way down on the inside. He put a Jeff Gordon on Jeff Gordon.
3 wide for 4th place.
And look, the guys up front are just loving this. Man, this is when you're coming around to get the white, and you're just loving this.
Robbie Gordon, Jeff Green, Ricky Rudd break away. Look at the land rush behind them.
But don't count them out. It won't take them long to get back there if they're just halfway getting lined there.
Let me tell you, that 99 is coming. I mean, he's coming like a house of fire.
He's getting a little bit of help from Sterling Marlin in the silver 40 car.
White flag.
Boy, they're dicing and slicing for that transfer spot. White flag, folks.
Terry Labonte, Kenny Wallace, side by side and 3 wide with Matt Kenseth for the final spot.
Yeah, 3 wide for that transfer spot with 1 to go.
Boy, I'm telling you, look at Gordon. He's working that thing.
23, Kenny Wallace.
That's Kenny Wallace, I'm sorry.
And he's stuck in the middle, Darrell.
That's why he was working so hard. He's trying to keep that thing off the cars around him.
He was in 15th at the white flag. That's the final transfer position.
Well, we know who's going to win.
Robbie Gordon, Jeff Green, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Burton, Jimmy Spencer trying to make things happen. Whoa, he gets up almost into Craven.
Boy, here they come. Bump draft, push, push. Get me there first. Get me into Daytona 500. Boy,
Casey Mears.
Casey Mears.
He is in the Daytona 500. Rookie Casey Mears in the 41 car.
What a great
He got the last transfer spot.
Only by inches.
Ahead of last year's winningest driver, Matt Kenseth, 2-time series champ Terry Labonte, Johnny Benson, David Green, and Brett Bodine.
There's your winner, Robbie Gordon, but trust me, Casey Mears feels just as good as Robbie Gordon does right now.
Oh, he feels better. He's a rookie. That's the car that didn't make the race last year. The 41 car was Spencer, and he's in the Daytona 500.
3 rookies finish among the top 15. 41, Casey Mears. 42, his teammate Jamie McMurray. And number 16, the Busch Series champ, Greg Biffle. They all made it.
It's just a little 125-mile qualifying race. Ain't nothing to get excited about.
Thank goodness it's only 125 miles.
Robbie Gordon took the lead from his Richard Childress teammate Jeff Green on the pit stop and will drive to victory lane. A 1-2 start for Richard Childress Racing and a 1-2 finish. Robbie Gordon with Dick Berggren in Gatorade victory lane.
Robbie Gordon, first time ever in a Winston Cup car in victory lane at Daytona. Salutes the photographers. Well, your crew is all wound up. How wound up are you of Richard Childress, his team owner?
Very happy, very happy. You know, the guys gave me a great stop.
Pit stop.
Great pit stop. Jeff Green worked with me the whole time. I worked with him in the first half. I got in a little deeper. He did in the braking zone, but he stayed and worked with me the whole time. I thought that was a pretty awesome pass he put on Ricky Rudd going down into one so that we could stay together and work together. But very pleased with everybody here on the Singular Wireless team. Excellent job in the pits. The guys worked real hard in the wintertime. Engine shop, Spinny, Danny, everybody there. Adam, everybody in the body shop. Nice.
What does today say about the Daytona 500 on Sunday?
I think it shows RCR cars are going to be really competitive, and just real proud of all the guys, all the hard work they did over the wintertime, and it showed when we rolled out of the box here.
This is the way to do it. You won it on pit road, you won it on the racetrack, you won it with your teammate. That's the way to do it, my friend.
Thank you very much. Just want to say thanks to everybody at Singular Wireless. Keep up the good work.
It's going to Mike Joy.
Robbie Gordon wins race 1. Don't go away. There's 50 more laps of fun. And look at this battle for the final transfer spot as they come to the line. Kenny Wallace, Jimmy Spencer, Craven inches ahead. Biffle is in there. And the bullseye is right on the hood of rookie Casey Mears, who gets the last transfer spot.
That's a wad of cars right there.
Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, Casey Mears has calmed down now, but when he first got out of the car, he said, woo! You didn't win it, but you're in the 500.
Yeah, we're in here. It's awesome. You know, I mean, this Target Chip Ganassi team is a really great team. We're a little bit off. The car just wasn't quite as good as it was in the practice yesterday morning, and it just went off a lot worse than I thought it was going to. But we're going to work on that. The guys did an excellent job in the pits, and, you know, we just feel good. We got Target over and going into the Daytona 500, and we're real happy with our Dodge. We're going to have a good time. I can't wait to go.
Well, you're going to have to look at the right side of it because there's donuts all the way from front to tail.
Yeah, I think, you know, right there at the end, gosh, everything just gets all stacked backed up, and everybody wants to make this show, and, you know, we had to make it too, so I just hung onto the throttle and stood on it and got us to the finish.
All right, great job, Casey. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Steve Young, Jamie McMurray continues to impress. You are officially in the Daytona 500.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could have went off our qualifying time, but it feels good to know that if we wouldn't have qualified well, that we could have raced our way in. Just really crazy out there. I don't know what it looked like on TV, but from my view, it was pretty aggressive, but a lot of fun, and that's the last thing Chip said to me when I got in the car. He said, man, he said, don't worry about being nervous or anything. He said, just go out and have fun, and I had a great time.
Now, you told me one of your concerns was actually having somebody play with you out there because you are a rookie and you're still trying to earn respect.
Well, and, you know, at the beginning, Ricky Craven really shoved me along, and I thought if we could ever get out in front, you know, we could stay there. My car seemed to be really good in front of guys, but get behind him, just same thing, just so tight. And tried a little bit different setup today than what Sterling ran last year, and Sterling and I were just trying something. So I don't know what he said, but I didn't think it was very good. So we're going to go back and work on it. We have 3 more practices, but main thing, you know, we still got the same car to at least try to run the Daytona 500 in if we don't get caught up in a wreck in a practice. But, I mean, I'm excited. I was so nervous before the race and just relieved now.
He is relieved. He finishes 10th in his Twin 125 qualifier. Mike?
Celebrating in victory lane, Robbie Gordon. His teammate, Jeff Green, right behind him. Ricky Rudd's Ford, Sterling Marlin's Dodge. Jeff Burton from last to 5th. Dale Jarrett overcame problems in the first run. Jeff Gordon, Joe Nemechek, Ward Burton, Jamie McMurray, all down through 15th, are going to be in the Daytona 500 based on the finish of this race. Now, Matt Kenseth will get in the big race due to last year's car owner points. Terry Labonte may take the Champions Provisional, the most recent Winston Cup champ, not qualified, and we'll have to see if the speeds or the points of the remaining drivers will get them into the 43-car field.
And oh, by the way, Jamie, it looked real good on TV.
Yes, it did.
I mean, the thing about it, a lot of these guys are dependent a lot on the results of race number 2, whether they make the Daytona 500 or not.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. brings the field to the line for Gatorade 125, number 2, coming up.
What do you know about it?
And welcome back to Daytona, race 1 of the books, the Gatorade Twin 125's determining who's where in the Daytona 500 coming up Sunday on Fox, and the Singular Wireless Chevrolet, driven by Robbie Gordon. He won't have any free minutes this weekend. He'll actually be busy at the Daytona 500 starting 3rd. A great crowd here witnessing the Gatorade Twin 125s on FX from Daytona International Speedway. Nearly 100,000 fans. And they're getting ready. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr., who is on the pole for the second half. 25 drivers going 50 laps with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers at the Hollywood Hotel just above Victory Lane, where Richard Childress celebrating with Robbie Gordon. And a guy, this is a race about chances, Jeff, but in the bigger picture, a guy like Childress giving Gordon really a second and a third chance to run in his car.
Yes, he did. I mean, a lot of people kind of had said, hey, Robbie Gordon can't work in NASCAR. He's got an attitude. But Richard Childress realized this boy's got talent. So he dealt with the attitude, got him into victory lane. Now Robbie Gordon's returned to favor one more time. They finally got an opportunity to win the 125. But, Chris, one of the more interesting parts about this whole deal is the pit stops. Right. I really believe right here is where Robbie Gordon got his opportunity to get the win today. Came into pit road. These guys picked the better pit selection, got a clean stop out of it. Robbie was able to take off, and as you look right here as he starts to go by, all of a sudden his teammate comes out. He was slightly blocked in by the 99 car.
All right, let's take a look at Jeff Green and his pit.
Right there, the 2 tires going on right side. If you notice, they were a little bit behind on the right rear right there, and I think I hurt him just a little bit. But when he started to come out, there was a 99 car, like you say, and he couldn't get going. And that momentum on his teammate got him out in front. And then things got real interesting as they go off into turn 1.
And we talked about how important the pit stops would be with the fuel cell reduction in this race. Let's get out to Dick Bergman, who is with Jeff Green. Dick?
And we're just talking on the air about your pit stop, how the 99 was in front of you. How important was that, you finishing second as opposed to first?
Well, that's everything. I had to just take a second there to get around to Jeff Burton. He didn't do anything wrong. I slid through with my sign just a little bit, and him pitting in front of us hurt us a little bit. But I'm proud for Robbie and Richard. They deserve what they got there, and we've got 3 excellent race cars down here, Dick. So I'm just, if we can ever get this AOL Chevy out front in the Daytona 500, I don't think anybody can pass us. So we're starting there. Hopefully we can just stay there.
You are indeed starting on the pole of the Daytona 500. To Steve Burns.
Well, Dick, winning the Daytona 500 is about a fast car and overcoming adversity. Jeff Burton was caught up in a wreck in practice the other day. Boy, you guys had a great run today from worst to 5th.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the run we had. We still got to find some speed, but I'm real proud of my Citgo guys. We had a great stop. That helped us out tremendously. And then there at the end, we everybody got bottled up off 2, and I didn't have to lift. So my car handled pretty well, and I thought that helped us today. We still got to find some speed if we want to win the Daytona 500, but there's a lot of ways to win this race, and maybe we can put ourselves in position to pull it off.
All right, great job, Jeff. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Jimmy Spencer finishes 12th. When you climbed out of your race car, you sprinted over to Greg Biffles to either, reprimand him or thank him big time for pushing you.
No, I wanted to thank Greg for pushing me. You know, God, he got on the back bumper and just pushed, because the people don't even have a clue out there watching how much that little bit. Sir, and 12th to 15th would have been too. Oh, I just thanked him. I mean, you know, him and I had some great battles in the Busch Series, and I just wanted to get over there. I knew he had enough speed to get in, and he said, Jimmy, I had nothing else to do but help push. And I said, I really want to thank you, Greg. But the Series Dodge was awesome all day. It handled excellent, got up there to the top 5 or so. You know, and then with Gordon there, just Jeff's car got the handling bad, got the pushing, and I got underneath him, and then I got bumped by Greg there, but that was just racing. And he says, man, I'm sorry for what happened. I said, yeah, but I ain't worried about that because nothing happened. You know, it was a push across the line. But the Series team worked hard. It's obvious we didn't have our qualifying package where we need to be, so we're going to work on that. But the car, Tommy had it driving excellent, but we're in the 500, and the Series Dodge, I think, will be a good car.
Night and day from last year, where a crash made Jimmy Spencer miss the Daytona 500. He's in the big show. To Chris Myers.
All right, there's that Jimmy Spencer smile, and we'll never forget. He's in the Daytona 500. The car that he didn't get in with last year did get in with the rookie Casey Mears, nephew of Rick Mears. In fact, 3 rookies are in this Daytona 500. The 4th, Larry Foyt, will have some trouble. But let's talk about the 3 real quick, Jeff, and their performance.
Well, I mean, what I can see right there, they did an excellent job as far as this. They took their patience, took time, didn't make any mistakes, let their cars work a little bit. I believe if you went down there and talked to all 3 of them right now, they tell you right quick, they had a lesson of a lifetime today. These 125s, they don't give you a lot of time, so they had an opportunity to see what these veterans could do, and I think they took advantage of it and made good on it.
The other 2, Jamie McMurray, of course, and Greg Biffle, but you talk about the pressure in this race leading up to the Daytona 500. Ooh. They handled it well.
They really did, and every one of them understood the importance of how you needed to come through here without making any mistakes. I think they got on off pit road like they needed to, which is very difficult to do, and at the same time, it's just a big load off all these guys. Now they can have some more fun, as you see right there. Casey Mears taking congratulations from one of the members of the Citgo team. It was just a great race right there, and these guys capitalized on it.
Now, coming up in the Twin 125, the second half, the DEI cars on display with Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the pole, Michael Waltrip right next to him. Let's go back upstairs to Mike, Darrell, and Larry.
Well, what we saw, Chris, was not unexpected. The fellows who had the speed lined up, drove their way to the finish, and all the action was just clustered right there at that transfer spot.
Well, it really was, and that's what you expect in these races. You know, the front is, we didn't even watch the front very much. It's from the middle of the field on back, because that's where the intensity is, that's where the emotion is. You heard Jimmy Spencer. I was up there, he hit me off a 2, but then he hit me off a 4. Now I like him again.
Yeah. And Larry, 2 pit stop strategies, but the field kind of melded right back together.
Well, I think everybody kind of learned from the Bud shootout the other night when 19 cars hit pit road at one time. But I'm like Jeff Hammond. I think pit selection was a big key in what won that race for Robbie Gordon and lost that race for Jeff Green, even though he had a great race car.
1 lead change among 2 drivers, the teammates, Jeff Green and Robbie Gordon, in race 1. It is likely, and this is not official, that Derek Cope and Mike Harmon will be headed home after today. And right now on the question mark whether they'll make it by speed or points from race 1, Brett Bodine, Larry Foyt, and David Green. Of course, we'll have to wait and see what happens in these next frantic 50 laps in the second Gatorade 125. Let's go trackside for the command.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, to give the command to get our second Gatorade 125 qualifying race underway, our Grand Marshal of the second race, John Harris, President for the Florida Division of 7-Eleven.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Let's go trackside to the crew chief of the man who will start last, and Dick Berggren.
That's Greg Zipadelli. Greg, what do you make of it? You've just seen that first 125 miler. What are you going to do now?
We got no place to go but forward, so that's good news. Our car was real strong yesterday in practice. Tony was happy with it. We quit early, and you know, just hopefully we'll be at the right place at the right time. Hook up with some good. There's a lot of good race cars there. It'll be a tough. It'll kind of be a little showing of the 500, I think, of the guys you're going to have to race for the win. So we'll just kind of see what happens. It looks like tires are giving up a little more than we had thought. You know, I just listened to a lot of guys on the radio. The outside, for some reason, didn't look like it was very good at all. And normally, if you stay up there and you're patient with a couple good cars, you can get a run. But you saw 24 and some of those guys that tried it, it just wasn't there. So it's going to be patient. Hopefully, wait for people to move up off the bottom and then take what they can. We got nothing to lose at the beginning. We're going to just kind of ride in the back a little bit and see how things shake out. Take care of our car, and hopefully we can race after our pit stop.
That's the key. Tony Stewart needs to bring that car home whole.
Now, as the defending Winston Cup champion, Stewart will be in the 500. He can start no worse than 37th on Sunday, but he could start a whole lot better. We'll be back to set the starting lineup for race 2 after this. This is NASCAR on FX.
They're the
We ran 50 laps. Let's run 50 more and do it again. The Gatorade 125 at Daytona on FX to set the field for Sunday's Daytona 500. Darrell Waltrip, how about a word with the driver who will roll off in 8th place?
And Jimmy Johnson, this is DW up here in the TV tower. Bud, you got a coffee?
I got you, DW.
How about you, Bud? Can you get up there and run with those DEI cars today?
I think so. We've had a great car in the shootout, and really got this, car for the 500 working well for us. Guys on the low team were working real hard, and we're just going to have to see. That first race, the outside groove wasn't playing out like I think we all thought, so I really don't know why, but we're going to find out and get in line and get ourselves a starting spot.
All right, 10-4, Bud. I heard on your radio there earlier you have a little special incentive if you can win this race.
Mr. Hendrick is now a grandfather, so congratulations to him and Lynn and Marshall. This is a big day for him, and hopefully we can go to victory lane for it all.
10-4, Bud. You got a great team. You're doing a beautiful job. Carry on.
Yes, sir.
Here's how the 25 cars will line up for race number 2. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated teammates Dale Jr. and Michael Waltrip will share the front row. From RCR, Richard Childress Racing, Kevin Harvick with Joe Gibbs, Bobby Labonte in a Chevrolet. Kyle Petty driving his own Dodge, and Bill Elliott in a Ray Evernham Dodge. That's row 3. Mark Martin in a Jack Roush Ford, and Jimmy Johnson in that Rick Hendrick Chevy, row 4. Jeremy Mayfield in a Dodge, and Elliott Sadler in a new ride, the Robert Yates Ford. Row 6, 2 rookies, Tony Raines in a Chevy, and Christian Fittipaldi and Andy Petrie's Chevy. Row 7, Mike Wallace in a Ford, and Jack Sprague, the truck champ, in a Pontiac. Kurt Busch in a Ford. Was he hot the end of last season? And last year's Rookie of the Year, Brian Newman, switches to Dodge. Row 9, Jerry Nadeau switches over to a Pontiac, and John Andretti in a Petty Dodge. Todd Bodine in a Ford, and Ken Schrader in a Dodge. Row 10. Row 11, it's a Dodge for Rusty Wallace, and a Ford for former Outlaws champ Dave Blaney. Row 12, Hermie Sadler in a Pontiac, Kirk Shelmerdine in 78-year-old Junie Donlevy's Ford. And because his car failed to make a qualifying lap, the defending Winston Cup champion Tony Stewart brings his new Chevrolet to the grid in 25th, last place.
And we have another car that's going to be dropped back there with him. You see Elliott Sadler in M&M's 38 car. He had to go to a backup car just like Mike Skinner and Jeff Burton did in the first race. They were all involved in that same practice wreck. So because it's a backup car, this was the next race, the race they were actually qualifying for. He has to go to the rear of the field.
Yeah, and then Elliott had nothing to do with the wreck. He was a victim of it and tore up his primary car. Be interesting to see if he can keep up with Tony. If he can, they can work their way right to the front.
One mechanical problem from race 1, and it was one of the DEI cars. It was Steve Park. Here's his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. And with Michael Waltrip, they have the front row. Here's what happened to their teammate in race 1, Steve Park. Matt?
And the one car of Steve Park did overheat and lost the engine. He's running the same exact engine configuration that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has underneath his hood. It's not the same as Michael Waltrip. Tony Eury Sr., are you concerned at all about your car overheating like Park's?
Well, Park's car got hot before they ever got off pit road. They sitting there warming up on the line before they ever left, and the temperature was going up on it. So I don't think it was really a tape issue what caused them to run hot. They've been running that tape, more tape than that all week long. We always open up a little bit before the race starts. So as hot as it got, as quick as it got, it sounds like they had an airlock in the engine or something like that. Water systems are real touchy on these cars, and it's real easy to get airlocked inside of the block, and then the water pump won't push the air. So probably that's what happened. Hopefully we didn't change our tape. We ran Saturday night, didn't have a problem. We opened up a little bit from Saturday night and what we've been running in practice sessions during the day, so hopefully we won't have a problem.
A big test for Dale Earnhardt Jr. If he likes this engine package, he might run this one for Sunday. More than likely he's going to run the Daytona 500 engine will be the one that he won the Budweiser shootout with Saturday night.
Just real quickly, looking at that tape on Dale Jr.'s car, that's a lot of tape for these conditions. He better stay out front.
And we see the air temperature is coming up just a little bit, 62 degrees. It's already come up 2 degrees from where that first race started. And that could hurt air going through these radiators.
14 positions in the Daytona 500 set from this race, 14 from the race before. Then the next 6 fastest drivers from time trials. Then the top 6 car owners not yet in the race from 2002. Then the most recent Winston Cup champion. And again, they will have to pit sometime, we expect, around 35 laps.
You can see Dale Jr.'s tape here. There's a little hole at the bottom there that they have taped up. And that's not a lot of opening. He better keep that thing out front, which is what I'm thinking he probably intends to do.
Green flag, green flag, green flag.
Notice Kevin Harvick in the 29 car. He didn't let that door open for Michael Waltrip like Ricky Rudd did for Robbie Gordon in the first race. He stayed tucked in behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 8 car.
I got a pretty good idea that Dale Jr. held his hand up there and said, wait, wait, wait. And when he got ready to nail that throttle, he said, let's go.
It'll take almost a complete lap to get these cars wound up with these restrictor plate engines. It'll be almost all the way back to the start-finish line before they're at full speed.
And boy, it doesn't take them many times. They protect that bottom. Even when you're up front, they're right to the bottom after what they saw in that first race.
But look behind that front 6. A lot of jostling as they're 2 by 2 into the 31-degree banking of turn 3.
Michael Waltrip was able to fall in line in 3rd position behind Kevin Harvick in the 29.
And that, on a start like this, when getting in position is so critical, Michael was on the outside. I'm thinking the 3 of them worked that out before they ever got going.
See the orange car there, Tony Stewart. He's only made up 1 or 2 positions after 1 lap.
Well, it's going to take a little time, Larry, for the handle to come off of some of the tires, build up air pressure, all kind of things the cars are going to go through before I think he can really start to make a lot of big-time passes.
Earnhardt Jr., Harvick, Waltrip, Kyle Petty slotted in 4th. Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, Jimmy Johnson, the first 8, single file. And now Elliott up high.
Bill Elliott in the 9 car on the outside line. He's got a little bit of help, but I tell you, I talked to his crew chief, Mike Ford. They are not happy with their package. They said he'll pull to a car, but it just, when it gets there, he can't pull out and pass. It just dies.
John Andretti carrying the number 43 that Richard Petty drove to victory in 7 Daytona 500s is in the transfer spot, having to work hard there to block Kenny Schrader.
Not only in the transfer spot, he's almost in the wall.
Kenny Schrader in the 49, he's definitely one of those cars that'll have to race his way in. Way back in owner points, very slow on his qualifying speed.
But Kenny, thinks his car will race good. He raced good here in the Bud Shootout Saturday night. We'll have to see what if that comes true or not, but he thinks he's going to be able to race all right.
That's Tony Raines, the white car slipping back to the right side of your screen.
He's in the sucker hole.
Oh, yeah, that's all that is.
Raines was 14th when they came by last time, and he got sandwiched. And he'll go from 14th all the way back to 20th. Watch that blue and yellow car as Schrader tries to move alongside. Andretti climbs the hill, closes the door.
Slammed the door.
It's almost like he got such a run on him into turn 1. He had 2 choices, try to go to the outside
Schrader lift from the onboard camera. His microphone. Check with Matt.
And Mike, to answer the question about the start, I asked Tony Eury Jr., was there a deal between Michael and Dale Jr.? He says, yep. It was every man for himself. Whoever got there first, got it. To Steve Burns.
All by himself. Well, Matty, Kevin Harvick's looking strong in that 29 car behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. He was on the pole here in July. He's in the same chassis that he was here with in July. Different body style on that car, different skin. But crew chief Gil Martin said they have never been to the wind tunnel with that car, and that's hard to believe as fast as and as neatly as it rolls through the wind.
Ooh, 3 cars single file, 7, 8 cars double file, and then 3 abreast at turn 2.
And even if there was a deal made, they're not going to tell us.
No.
See, Mike Wallace in that 09 car, he was the fastest car down here during all of winter testing. Had real high hopes of their chances today.
That's the team that finished 3rd in last year's 500 with Jeff Bodine driving.
Now, Dale Jr., I mean, in the first race, cars got in line. They just kind of ran around the bottom of the racetrack. But if you watch him, he kind of moves all over the place. He's out, look here, he's out wide here. He's opening the door for the 20. For the 29, but I think he's actually trying to pull Michael up there is what he's trying to do. I think he's trying to stick outside there and give Michael a shot to get back up there with him.
All right, we have a little deal going on right here. This is a crew member from Tony Stewart's car there on the left, the 20 car, and that's Tony Eury Sr. in the red shirt, Matt Yoakum.
The guy in the orange Home Depot uniform is Scott Deal, the car chief. Saturday night, he was the gentleman for Tony Stewart, running up and down pit road, trying to make deals, seeing when other teams are going to pit. He was talking to the Eurys, trying to find out their window for pitting somewhere in the 35 to 37 lap range. We'll see more of this as the race progresses.
Coach Tony Eury Sr. is the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Second place, side by side. Kevin Harvick, Michael Waltrip on the outside with plenty of friends trying to take over second. Talk about plenty of friends.
Golly, look at that. Now that is a shot right there.
That's pretty much the entire field that started this 125 miler 6 laps ago.
But look at Junebug. He's trying to get out there and give Michael a pull, but he can't. Michael can't get around.
They aren't even that close out in the parking lot. This is at 185 miles an hour to set the field for the 500.
You think you're ready to run?
NASCAR on FX is brought to you by Budweiser. The best things in life are the things that are true. Budweiser. First on-track lead change of the Gatorade 125's. Kevin Harvick goes out in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson climbs up the 3rd spot.
Well, Dale Jr. there in the front of the pack there, he's trying to help Michael get up there to the lead. He's trying to help Michael get to his back bumper, but he hasn't been able to pull him up there. Michael just doesn't look like his car's handling quite as good as Dale Jr.'s is. And in the process, you can see he's opening the door for a lot of company.
Single file back through Bobby Labonte. That's 5th place.
But before Jimmy Johnson could get to Kevin Harvick, Jimmy in the 48 car, Dale Jr. was able to slide back in the 2nd position.
Well, Dale Jr. was able to make all his passes the other night on the outside, and I think he thought he could do that today, but that outside just doesn't seem to be working. It could be a product of the wind. Could be a product of cars running on this racetrack, and the outside's gotten too slick.
John Andretti has climbed to 6th place. He and Bill Elliott are side by side. 2 Dodges battling to turn 1. And Stewart way down the bottom of the racetrack, 3 wide, trying to work his way up from 17th.
Yeah, you get such a great run with the tailwind down this short chute right here that when you get a run on a guy, if you can get that fender alongside of him, he's got to let you go.
Tony Stewart up to 14th. He wants another spot going into turn 3.
He's got it.
Todd Bodine outside.
Car's really starting to work. They've run enough laps now that some guys will start to experience minor handling problems.
I tell you, Bill Elliott in the outside line in the 9 car, he's finally getting some people to line up behind him, and he's able to pull that group up there. He took over the 5th position for Bobby Labonte that time by.
Mike Wallace jumped underneath to the low side, pulled a bunch of cars with him. As we look back at Stewart from Jerry Nadeau. Dick Berggren.
Listening to Stewart's radio, the only thing he has said so far, Mike, is that he has a very good car. His strategy since the green flag has been to simply run the bottom. If it takes 3 wide to pass, that's what he's done.
Last lap by Mark Martin. And the Jack Roush Ford number 6 was in the final transfer spot, 15th. Right behind him, his teammate, Kurt Busch.
But with all the cars in front of you the way they are in front of Tony, it's hard to be disciplined enough to just hold your line. You want to move around. You want to go the outside. You want to go the inside. You want to go up through the middle. But if you just pick that inside line and stick with it, it'll pay off.
And that's definitely what he seems to be doing, Darrell. He is staying glued to the bottom of this racetrack.
And if you get a chance and somebody moves up enough, you can get under them and force them up the track and go by them.
Ken Schrader now moves up onto the bubble, 15th place. And Elliott Sadler right behind him. Steve Burns.
And Michael Waltrip rides 4th with his crew chief Slugger Labbe. Now, Michael hasn't said a word. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, for us, that's good. You know, he's not complaining. I think he's just sitting back there waiting for the right time and hopefully pit around lap 33 with everyone else and either get gas and go or 2 tires. I'm not sure yet.
All right, Slugger, let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Now, Steve, Scott Deal is back in the 8 pit. Now, what he's doing, he's lobbying the Uries, telling them what the 20 team would like to do. And what they would like to do is to try to come in a small pack like we talked about at the top of the show, so you don't have 25 cars hitting pit road at the same time. Maybe a smaller 6 to 7 to 8 car pack to hit pit road just to lessen the chance for misfortune.
Well, there's 2 ways to play that. If you decide to come in before everybody else, you bring them all with you. So the only way they could do that, I think, Larry, is to decide together to wait and let the first pack come in.
But what Matt's saying, and I think you have to have at least 5, 6, 7 cars to make that work, because if you get out there by yourself or just with 1 or 2 cars, you could lose this lead draft.
And if you lose the lead draft, you lose over a second a lap, and it doesn't take very long to get caught up in and get lapped. Tony's holding the bottom, and as you can see, he's just easing his way up through there.
Jerry Nadeau in the Army car defending the middle.
Looks like Mike Wallace in the 09 car, he has the same strategy as Tony Stewart. He pretty much has made all of his passing at the bottom of the racetrack.
And to follow up a little bit on what Slugger Labbe said, when a Waltrip's not saying anything, that is good news.
15th, John Andretti. Last time by, Elliott Sadler's moved up ahead of Andretti, and John is in that tension-filled final transfer position.
Now, let me tell you, when you're back in here like this, you're driving through the windshield, the guy's windshield or the guy's window in front of you. You can't really see all around like you'd like to. You've got to look through his car to see what's going on in front of you.
Look at Jerry Nadeau's hands, Darrell. He's a busy man.
He got down in turn 3 there, and the thing got just a little loose with him, which is not unusual. When you get into the corner here, sometimes the cars are just a little loose getting in.
You see the tachometer there on the telemetry, it barely moves off of 7,000. Gains a little bit on the straightaway. Loses a little bit in the corner. About 6,900 to 7,100 RPMs all the way around the racetrack.
It's Ryan Newman just ahead of Nadeau.
And all that jostling and moving around that he's doing on the steering wheel, a lot of that is just how rough the racetrack is. And as the tires go through the bumps, it makes the wheel move.
Steve Burns.
And Matt Yoakum talked about Scott Deal. He's a busy man here on pit road. Scott, you're out of breath. Have you made any deals down here?
I'm not out of breath. I'm just trying to lose a little weight. Gain a little bit of... yeah, we're just trying to get together and select a bunch, trying to work on a little strategy.
You are out of breath, Scott, by the way. Back up front, Mike.
And it is Harvick and Dale Jr. for the lead.
Well, Dale Jr. looked like he was going to be able to complete the pass. He just didn't have nobody to help him, Darrell.
But he does now. They finally got it working. They finally got together. And now I think that Michael will drop in behind Dale Jr. They got it set up the way they want to have it. The rest will be history until the pit stop.
Kurt Busch hangs on to the 15th and final transfer spot as they fan out 4 wide down the back straightaway. In the front of the pack, just moments ago, coming past the start-finish line, Michael Waltrip had a big handful.
Oh, yeah, he tried to block is what he did, which was a good thing to do. But the 29 car was right on his back bumper and hooked him, turned him sideways right here in the trial.
He was trying to block Mike Wallace to the inside. Here comes Wallace in that 09 Dodge. Let's show it to you. Happened here just a lap ago.
And that's the 29 car behind him, and Michael goes down in front of him. down onto the apron. When he comes back up, the 29's right there.
And what's bad about the apron, it's a different transition, different degree of banking than a tri-oval, and it'll throw the car back up on the racetrack.
This tri-oval right here, this is as hard to drive as it is to drive through the corners. You're going really fast through here with not near the banking you got in the turns.
The president of the What Happened Club is Bobby Labonte. He was 4th last lap. He's 19th. He got dropped from the pack like a rock. Tony Stewart got up to 4th, and now he is backslid to 8th as this pack shuffles around.
Sitting here watching a lot of these guys right here racing the way they're doing right now. We've already seen Tony Stewart's got a car that can suck up. Scott Deal told me this morning that Tony was going to be very content to ride and try to bring this car home. He understood that if anything did go wrong, he had a real good piece on the truck. He could pull off his butt shootout car from Saturday night. Dick Berggren?
Well, Stewart was doing just great as long as he was staying on the bottom. He was passing car after car after car. Then he decided to try the top, and that was the mistake. He's gone right straight back from that point, and while upstairs, he radioed into the crew saying the car is loose. That's the first negative thing he said about that car all afternoon.
And that's the same thing, Dick, that happened to his Joe Gibbs teammate, Bobby Labonte. Bobby tried to move at turn 2 up on the outside, and he's gone to the back of the pack.
But that's the driver. I mean, when the car's going forward, you don't say a word. You're very happy. Then it starts going backward, and you say, hey, this thing's loose. Ooh, there's a little push.
Yeah, Todd Bodine, Kurt Busch tried to move to the inside of Todd. He tried to block him right there at the yellow line halfway down the back straightaway. But I'm going to tell you, I'm impressed with this run by Mike Wallace in that 09 and Todd Bodine in the 54 car. Good runs for those cars.
2 laps to halfway. Earnhardt Jr., Waltrip, Mike Wallace, and Todd Bodine forging his way up into 4th place. The bubble car right now is Stewart, 15th.
Just goes to show you what kind of racing we have here. It wasn't that long ago, what, 2 or 3 laps, he was up there looking like he was going to drive to the lead.
But you know, the biggest difference in this race and the first one is Dale Jr. doesn't have to protect the bottom. He can run where he wants to, and nobody can pass him. In the first race, they had to protect the bottom because they knew if they gave it up, somebody get under him and get past, and they'd fall back. He can run anywhere he wants to.
Matt, are the leaders cooking up a deal?
Well, it's a DEI on top of the Budweiser pit box. Slugger Labby from the 15. Have you formulated your game plan yet?
Yeah, we're still talking about it. We'll probably come about lap 32.
And who else will come with you? Who else will come with you? Have you decided that?
Probably everyone that's behind us. You know how that is. You saw it the other night. It gets kind of crazy, but we figure we'll just come on lap 32.
I really think it's a good thing to let people know. If you're in the front particularly, we're coming in on 32. I don't think it's a good idea to try to surprise anybody, because you may be the one that gets the surprise.
Yeah, there's really nothing gained because everybody's going to make a pit stop by surprising people.
Todd, the youngest of the Bodine brothers, up to 3rd, now battling with Mike Wallace on the outside, and shuffles to 4th ahead of Jimmy Johnson.
He don't have a lot of help up there, Mike Wallace in 09, and again, I talked about it earlier. He was the fastest car down here throughout winter testing.
Well, he's holding his own out there, but that's a tough place. That's tough sledding out there by yourself.
He's got Ryan Newman in that 12 car, and Rusty Wallace in the 2 coming back to him.
Hello.
3 wide.
Still clear. Still clear. 2 wide behind him.
Oh, he was able to slide up in front of Ryan Newman.
He did. He had to get out of the throttle, too, and caused Ryan Newman to have to get up out of the throttle. And now you see what happened to both of them.
Ryan Newman's losing all kinds of positions.
Loss of momentum. Kenny Schrader among the beneficiaries of that. Dave Blaney up high in the 77, trying to work his way around Schrader. A couple of ex-open wheelers, as is Stewart.
Just Schrader's doing just like he did in the Bud Shootout, y'all. He's just kind of quietly hanging around there, but he's got a pretty good old car, you know. I mean, it's giving him. He's got a car that he can hang on with.
I'm going to tell you what, Dale Earnhardt Jr. can move to the outside by himself. He's doing right here, and it's almost like out there by himself, he'll go back around his teammate Michael Waltrip, fall back in line. That is one strong package.
Saw him do it down here time and time again, though. Saw him do it at Talladega. That car is just awesome. I don't know any other way to put it.
Mark Martin, the man on the bubble, in 15th place, and Bobby Labonte, who slid to the back of the pack, may have a problem. Steve?
Mike, moments ago, he radioed in and told Michael Fatback McSwain that the car had a bad push. It was hard to turn. But now he's radioed again, and he says he feels like a tire is going flat. If it's not, that's how it feels.
If the car's not quick enough, the other way you hang on to it.
Of course, if that right front is going down, it's going to get softer and softer, and that'll make the car turn less and less off the corner.
And if the car's not handling well, you'll aggravate whichever tire it is. It'll be the right front or the right rear, and eventually it just finally wants to give up, and you'll say there's something wrong with it.
Pit stops coming in perhaps 5 laps. Why don't we yank that crank?
Crank it up.
Dozen single file, and we're getting close on pit stops.
There you see Dale Earnhardt Jr., Michael Waltrip, Kevin Harvick. We're getting down within about 10 laps of where they would be running out of fuel, but I think we're going to see them to pit road here in about 4 to 5 laps. Probably full of fuel, 2 right side tires for most everyone. All right, I want to talk about the pit selection because I think this was a big variable in the first race. This is very important when these guys come to pit road here in about 4 laps, where they're going to make that pit stop. It's a long pit road. You have to come down 55 miles an hour. Now, I want you to look right here. Right in here is where Michael Waltrip's pit is. Look, he's got an opening in front of him, behind him. Right here is where Dale Jr.'s pit is. There is someone pitting right behind him, John Andretti, and Kyle Petty right in front of him. And I felt like, and Jeff Hammond pointed that out, that's possibly what cost Jeff Green the race in the first race.
Yeah, you know, having an opening in front of you is a hot tip, because then that way you can just leave your pit without anybody in your way. And Jeff Green slid into his pit and got too far up in the pit box. He should have stopped way back since he had an opening behind him. Tony Stewart, the Winston Cup champion of 2002, has drifted back into the final pack of 6 cars. There's a 7-car breakaway, single file out front, but there's Stewart racing with Kyle Petty in the 45, the 0 of Jack Sprague, rookie Christian Fittipaldi, and Hermie Sadler. And these things can be so good, and it's like you flip the switch and they go backwards. I don't know, the handling just goes away that quickly. Jeff.
Darrell, for the folks at home, I want them to understand also the pit selection is done by the crew chiefs based off of how you've qualified. As they come down the qualifying order, you get an opportunity. And right now, the 8 cars, everybody's on pit road.
Looks like everybody but Todd Bodine, Elliott Sadler, Bobby Labonte, Kyle Petty, everybody else is on pit road. Whoa, Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch get together. He gets one of the crew members. There's some mistakes. This will cost you getting in the Daytona 500.
The 97 was out of control getting on pit road. He couldn't even get it wound up.
The Jackman was hit, but he is okay. Matt.
A gas and go only for Dale Earnhardt Jr. And the 29 car have Kevin Harvick also in a right side tire change. You can hear a lot of the crew chiefs up and down pit road warning their drivers, be careful. We only want to take 2, so don't flat spot the tire, so we have to take 4.
Yeah, the 97 car came off the racetrack. He didn't expect everybody to start pitting. He was out of control.
He's going to get a 1-lap penalty for Kurt Busch. Also a long stop for Dave Blaney, Booty Barker's crew. Now Todd Bodine pits with Elliott Sadler, Bobby Labonte, and Kyle Petty.
Right now, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he's 2 seconds ahead of his teammate Michael Waltrip on the racetrack. See Kurt Busch there in the outside line right there. He was out of control when he got to the entrance of pit road, Darrell.
Yeah, he did not know they were going to pit, and when he saw that they were, he tried to come with them, and he couldn't make it.
Now the rest of the guys come to pit road. Todd Bodine, Elliott Sadler, Bobby Labonte, Kyle Petty, they're on pit road, as well as Ryan Newman's back on pit road.
Now the jackman for Kurt Busch gets upended, held the jack out for protection, and he is okay. Scott Radell, the jackman for Kurt Busch.
Of course, that's messing Schrader up because Busch was in the pit before Schrader's, so Schrader was having a problem getting into his pit box.
Let's show you what happened from Kevin Harvick's point of view.
See, the 97's going by on the outside. He got the tires locked up. He can't get the car woed up.
And now his pit's up at this end. Boom.
Just about the time that Kevin Harvick thought that the 97 had it woed up, he started to gas to go to his pit. Getting off the tire.
Gil Martin reacts. What will that have done to the aerodynamics of the right front of Harvick's car?
Well, it probably damaged it. There's no question about that, and it's going to hurt performance. I don't know how much. I can't tell how bad it was, but it's going to hurt performance. I tell you, that 8 car, Larry, is long gone.
Well, and what he's doing, he's 2 seconds right now ahead of his teammate Michael Waltrip. Here we see Ryan Newman in the 12 car. We're hearing that he has a problem. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now, he's running all the way against the wall trying to keep that thing wound up because he has no help. But his teammate has no help either. Todd Bodine is bringing a group of about 5 cars lined up to them.
Yeah, he's kind of waiting on Michael to get up there and then maybe the 2 of them. But I don't think they can hold this crowd back here off.
We'll see. 34 of 50 laps complete in the second Gatorade 125 at Daytona.
Tuesday.
Running just about a second behind his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr., but the big winner on pit stops, Todd Bodine, who's up to 3rd. Now, Ryan Newman was a victim of the Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick altercation coming down pit road.
Yeah, the problem was, with the first time on the pit road, he was pitting down near the entrance of pit road. And when all this started stacking up right there, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick right here, Ryan Newman was right behind these guys. And with all the spinning going on and everything, here's Ryan Newman right there. There's his pit right there. He could not get him in his pit road. See, he's having to stay out there, so he had to make another pit stop just to be able to come into his pit road. But I'm going to tell you, the real benefactor of these 2 pit stops was Todd Bodine. He waited to pit. He came to pit road when there was only 4 cars, not crowded, could get into his pit box, good stop, and he's out there running 3rd right now. Great call by his crew chief, Derek Finley, Dick Bergman.
Well, great call or not, they think he pitted on the wrong lap. Bodine didn't come in when they had wanted him to. I am in the area up by turn 4, Larry, and I'm going to tell you what, this has been absolutely chaos up here with a 97 pitting, with Newman not getting into his pit, with Bodine pitting out of sequence, but Bodine's the only one that's come out of the top of this thing, running 3rd. Steve.
Well, Dick, Michael Waltrip had the same pit strategy as his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. No tires, just gas. And remember, DEI cars have won 6 of the last 8 restrictor plate races, 3 of the last 4 here at Daytona. Matt Yoakum.
Well, Scott Deal has returned to the 8th pit, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. was told by his spotter, Ty Norris, that Michael would like Jr. to run on the bottom so he can quickly reel him in. Jr. has been running up high. You can see they are slowly closing that gap, but Michael is kind of asking if he can run on the bottom because that's where Michael runs best.
3 drivers who had problems on pit stops, Dave Blaney, Ryan Newman, and Kurt Busch, are toward the back of the pack with Kurt Shelmerdine and Hermie Sadler, and that improves the fortunes of Jeremy Mayfield, Jack Sprague, and Kenny Schrader to make it into the 500.
Okay, Larry, so we're only going to make 1 pit stop today. How many are we going to make Sunday?
I don't want to be on pit road very much after what I saw. You know, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he even used that lap car of Kurt Shelmerdine to help pick his lap times up. He used the draft, even though Kurt's out there running much slower, it helped him for a couple of laps.
Now, Kevin Harvick was one of the best cars on the track before the pit stop. What about now, Matt?
He is not good, Mike. In fact, Bobby Hutchins told me that the car is very, very bad, damaged aerodynamically. I said, how bad is it? He said it's killed. He is going to be making a pit stop. NASCAR informed the team that he has a tire rub, so they're going to tell him just to take it back to the garage.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing gained by coming back to pit road and trying to repair it. You might as well go in the garage, take your lick here. He's going to be in the Daytona 500 by speed, so he'll be in good shape.
Harvick will be 31st in the lineup for Sunday.
I keep watching the gap between second and third, Michael, and back to Todd Bodine. It's shrinking slowly. I say that in the next lap or two they'll be there because Dale Jr. was so fast, but it took Michael too long to get to him, and that's going to pull that lap car. Even helped the second pack back there get up to these guys. So in another lap, we're going to be back to racing again.
8 to go this time.
Kenny Schrader right now has the transfer spot.
And he's kind of running Lonesome Charlie all by himself, and as long as it stays green, I think he'd probably be just as happy to stay right there.
So no battle for the final qualifying spot. It's all at the front on this second Gatorade 125.
Yeah, even though he's running by himself, Darrell, he's only running 0.2 of a second slower than that pack behind him. So if it stays like it is, he should be okay.
Yeah, he's coming off onto the back straightaway. They're in the middle of 1 and 2, so he's got a pretty comfortable lead right now.
Kyle Petty is 1 spot away from qualifying. Former pole sitter for the 500. There is Kyle towing Tony Raines and Jerry Nadeau. But the distance from Schrader back to Kyle is 5 seconds.
There you see the Fox tracks right there on Kyle Petty. That's the interval. Back to Kenny Schrader. Kenny Schrader's 9 seconds behind the leader.
Matt?
And one thing to watch on the 45 of Kyle Petty, he slid all the way into his pit box, smoking heavily that left front. Gonna have to check and see if that left front tire will hold on. Possible flat spot.
Our 2-car lead pack, it has turned into an 8-car lead pack because he has caught Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Michael Waltrip.
Yeah, just in a few laps, this other crowd will be right there, and it's back to the way we were before the pit stop. So the pit stop spread them out for a little while, but not very long.
What I see Dale Earnhardt Jr. doing now out there leading Michael Waltrip, his teammate, he is not moving off the bottom of this race.
And remember one thing, he got no tires. So, you know, 50 laps on a set of tires, and those other guys got a couple of tires that can make a big difference here with the last 4 or 5 laps to go, Matt.
Well, DW, last night Dale Jr. told Tony Eury Sr. he felt like whichever DEI car was out front, that will more than likely be the DEI car to win because the cars, the 15 and the 8, are so close. Unless there's someone to help him make a big run, they felt like that just passing was going to be too difficult.
Well, I think Todd Bodine, I mean, obviously he's got everything to gain and not a whole lot to lose. He doesn't want to do anything. Right now he's in the race, and that's important. But Jimmy Johnson's back there, and I'm sure he's happy with the starting 8th. And now here he comes around Todd Bodine. Maybe. That may not have been a very good idea.
No, because Rusty Wallace in the 2-car.
The 54 is down low. Clear either side. 5 to go.
5 to go. That was a bad move.
Because he has not a lot of help on the outside.
And nobody's going to let you in. He'll just find himself sliding right on back.
Meanwhile, Kyle Petty is catching Ken Schrader at the rate of ½ a second a lap, but at that rate would run out of time in the battle for the last transfer position.
Kyle has 3 cars lined up behind him, and they're pretty content to stay right there because they know it's not going to do them no good whatsoever to start racing each other.
And look who's pulled himself into the picture. Little orange car coming off the turn 4 there.
Would that be Tony Stewart?
Yeah, Golf's got their Tiger, we got ours. His name just happens to be Tony.
Side by side, the battle of hammers and nails.
And just remember, Kyle Petty, even when we talk about him being in the 16th spot, he was 10th quickest in qualifying. He will be in the field on Sunday.
Right. Well, the 48 car's hanging tough on the outside there, but that hadn't been the way to go in either race.
John Andretti looking up the inside.
Everybody's wanting to make sure they close the door on Jimmy Johnson before he can slide in line.
And remember our practice when we were listening to Jimmy Johnson, and he said he was upset with himself because he couldn't figure out which line to get in and how to keep people from passing him and how to use the other cars. Well, he did it again.
Darrell and Larry, I've been watching you guys talk about Ken Schrader, who's trying to make this race here today. His biggest salvation right now could very easily be the 90 car up there, just a little ways in front of him. It may be a slow car, but I've been watching some of the lap times. He's been able to pick up just a little bit of air off that car and close that number down from being given up a ½ a second a lap to only giving up 2 3/10. So that may be the salvation for Kenny to get in the 500 today.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff, I've always said no matter how slow a car is, if you can see that car, he's helping you.
3.8 seconds. 3.8 from Schrader to Kyle Petty. 15th to 16th. Single file up front for the first 13 cars.
Bobby Labonte in the 18 car, the green car, he's caught this lead pack as well. It wasn't but a few laps ago. He was several car lengths behind this group.
And Jimmy Johnson has now gotten down on the inside, back in line. He's got a fast car. See if he can possibly help Tony get up there now. It's just so tempting when you're coming down that straightaway and that car in front of you looks like he's almost like he's got the brakes on. It's tempting to go to the outside of him, but it just doesn't work out.
Well, it's go time. A lap and a half to go.
Elliott Sadler in that 38 car, remember he started at the rear of this field by going to a backup car. He's decided to try the high side. Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 even moving up a further lane behind him.
I don't think Dale Jr., if I was Dale Jr., I know he's got a fast car, but this is no time to start playing around like he did early in the race because he doesn't really have tires. If I was him, I'd be protecting that bottom right now and not playing around on that high side.
1 lap to go, white flag.
There you go.
You heard Ty Norris, his spotter, tell him, protect that bottom.
Got to stay on the bottom now. This is no time to be pulling somebody. Don't worry about that. You just win this race. Stay on the bottom. Michael will take care of himself.
Well, 3 wide at the back of the pack. Now, all of these cars are in the 500 if they cross the finish line.
And they all know it, and I've got a pretty good idea. You'll see that they're going to use good manners coming to the line. Jimmy Johnson would like to get to the outside here, but Tony's not going to allow that.
Every position you get from here to the line, you start 1 row further forward of the 500, and here they come.
Yep.
Dale Jr. to win it. Waltrip, Bodine, Wallace, Stewart. And they were still wide at the back. An engine lets go at the line, and Kenny Schrader.
I think that was
the last spot.
I think it's a tire rub on that, and I think it's a 6 car. I'm not sure if he got in the fence.
Mark.
He and Bobby Labonte were mixing it up there with Jack Spray on the final lap.
I think he got up against the wall coming out of turn 4. They were racing real hard back there. Let's see if we can see what happened here on the last lap. Here they come.
He's going to be in.
Oh, God.
Got into the wall.
Man, it was almost as if but there was no, nobody around him. It's almost like something happened to the car, but I don't see any tires down.
But still, Mark Martin finishes 14th and transfers into the 500. The Butt Shootout winner, Dale Earnhardt Jr., scores a win in race 2.
Pull up to Mr. Martin's car.
6 times Dale Earnhardt won the Butt Shootout, and 12 times he won one of these Gatorade 125s. Another Earnhardt stands in Gatorade victory lane for the 2nd time in this Speed Weeks. Steve Burns.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr., Speed Weeks 2003 has been awfully nice to you.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Had a great week so far. That was a great call by the crew just to take gas, and too bad, me and Michael didn't get out of pits together. They probably would have never called us, but that's something to think about for the 500. You might be able to put a lap on the field to keep doing that, but I'm pretty excited. It was a good car in the shootout, and now we got a good car for the 500. I swear, the reason I'm not excited as I probably should be is because I think the shootout car might have been a better race car. But great win for us, my first 125. Tony and everybody just did a good job building these cars, and I can't say enough about them. I mean, as well as I do, when you come down here, it's a whole lot more race car. But, you got to make good decisions while you're out there, but you need a good car to stay out front and get there and all that. It's been a good week, man. We got to top it off, get us another one there in the 500.
So far, so good. Let's go to Matt Yoakum, who's with his teammate.
Well, I've caught up with Tony Stewart, 25th to 5th. How about that race, Tony?
That's just the way I like it, just like that. The cars are sliding around all over the place, and it was fun. So the biggest thing was just making sure we didn't get ourselves in trouble. And I got in the middle once to see what I had there, and ran the top for a while and ran the bottom. So I've been all over the place today.
Now dissect your chances for the 500, knowing what you've done here today and what you have in a race car.
Now, Joachim, you know that's probably one of the dumbest questions you can ask, but because if I knew that question, I'd be a bookie in Las Vegas. I wouldn't.
Oh, come on now. You are the biggest poker player of anybody I know.
Well, yeah, but when you got 43 players at the table, it's a little harder to book.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm pretty happy. I mean, this Home Depot from Chevrolet's, it's pretty strong right now. So, you know, if we could have got up with the 8 car and the 15 car, it would have been interesting to see how fast the 3 of us would have been together.
Now, how could that be a stupid question? 2-time Budweiser shootout winner, and you've got a very stout race car, and you left here during testing, and Zippy told me that they had a good shot of winning here, and you go ahead and drink your stuff. Oops, sorry. I spilled it on you. To Steve Burns.
Just 1 second.
To Dick. Let's go to Dick.
Well, they're rolling Michael Waltrip's car away. You can see the dent in the right rear corner. Nice finish, but how'd you finish so well with that big dent back there, Mikey?
I didn't know it was back there. That's not my department.
Rusty ready to run you over here.
Yeah, we had a great run. Junior was just a little bit better, never could get to the front, but we played a lot of games out there and learned so much. Every time you get in a plate race, if you're not messing around trying to learn, you're losing ground to the field. So I'm real proud of the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet. The boys just did a super job tuning it up. Just looking forward to the weekend.
DW thought maybe at the beginning of the race the car wasn't handling as well as it might. Is that the case?
No, it handled perfect all day long. If it hadn't been handling good, somebody just goosed me.
Scott Deal.
Woo! That man has strong hands. If it hadn't been handling good, we would have gotten 2 tires. But real proud of the job Todd did. He sat there and used his head and was just smart. Harvick was kind of goofy, but everybody's trying to see what they got, I guess. I turned Junior sideways a little bit on the front straightaway once and rolled out of the gas because I could have passed him. But that's my teammate. I don't want to knock him sideways to pass him, so I just rolled out 2 and let him go. But it's a tremendous spectacle, these races with the plates on them, and I'm just proud that I got a car that's fast enough to go up in the middle of it and make myself look like I know something every now and then.
Oh, you do indeed. DEI 1 and 2. Let's go to Matty.
And a great run by Ty Bodine. How big is a sense of relief now, Ty?
And it's incredible. I tell you, before we started this race, this is the most nervous I'd ever been for a 125. I wanted to get in this race so bad, not just for the National Guard, our advertiser, not just for Sam Bell-Navis, who is a great guy and a new car owner, but for the guys back in the shop. And I know they're in the break room watching. They worked their tails off on this car. We tested down here 2 cars that were just junk. We went home. The guys worked 7 days a week, 15 hours a day, built this car. Didn't qualify as good as we wanted. We felt like it wasn't gonna. We just couldn't get any speed out of it at Talladega testing, but we knew it was gonna draft well. The car's really small, goes through the air well. You guys did a great job. I can't believe it. That's the best starting position I'm gonna have for the 500. I finished 5th in a 125 once before, but this is a lot better.
Ty Bodine comes home 3rd in the second Twin 125.
100 laps of caution-free racing at Daytona today, leading up to the Coolers 300 Saturday and the Daytona 500 Sunday, both on Fox. Let's meet the man who finished 4th. Here's Dick.
Yeah, and a man who came with probably the most optimism he's ever had for the Daytona 500, Rusty Wallace. What do you make of your run today?
It was a good, strong run. I was happy with it. The car was solid all day long. It handled really, really good. The first 30 laps, I got a little tight right at the very end where I had to breathe it off at 2 just a little bit. I told Billy, I said, take 2 rounds of bite out. Leave the right side pressures alone. He did that. We had a good pit stop. I got in good. I got out good. And, man, the car just handled great after that. No push. And the only thing we had to do then is just stay in the bottom lane because there wasn't enough horsepower up top to get the job done. So it was a good, solid run for our Dodge. Now we start 4th row outside. I'm happy with it.
A lot of the people watching today's broadcast will be watching Sunday's Daytona 500. What can they expect to see?
Well, I tell you what, the track's going to get slick. And it's going to be very important, handling. I think handling's very, very important when it gets right down to it. Also fuel mileage. Look at fuel mileage. These guys are going to run for a long time, and I'll be tuning on the carburetor. Our guys will get all that mileage we can because I think that's going to be a key factor.
Nice to see you running up front. Mike Joy?
Now, the drivers who had trouble on pit road will really affect the provisional starting positions for the 500. Dave Blaney, Ryan Newman, and Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick were all up in the Winston Cup points and had decent speeds. When we come back, we'll tell you who's going racing Sunday and who's headed home.
The Bud shootout. Now Little E takes the second half of the Gatorade Twin 125. And in case you missed it, 8 Eastern tonight, a rebroadcast of today's activity on FX. We come to you from the Hollywood Hotel, just above Victory Lane, with Jeff Hammond. I'm Chris Myers, and nice to have you with us. Hey, how about the fuel cell reduction? We knew it would make pit stops an adventure, and we saw an example of that in both races, specifically the second one.
Oh, and it made it interesting the first one, but in the second one right there, I mean, all heck broke loose when they came down pit road. And this is one of the things I don't understand as far as the crew chief's concerned, is for strategy-wise, we saw from the Bud shootout on Saturday night, you didn't want to have a mass stampede, and that's exactly what they did. Everybody started peeling off down pit road. A lot of guys changed their mind. You see Kurt Busch there on the outside on the binders.
And he's having trouble. Is that what causes
Yes, he can't get it woed down, and he pulls in front of the 29 car, Kevin Harvick, and all of a sudden realized, I got to get to my pit, and boom, right across the front nose at Harvick. And Junior was right behind it, just barely missed getting into it from inside. Yep, inside his car. He's coming. He's inside of everything, watching what's going on. He said, "Oh my gosh, what's happening here?" Work to the outside, realizes what's going to happen, just barely misses it. Again, that could have been the move of the race for him.
And here's another look too. And Todd Bodine, one of those who benefited here. But what? Go ahead, Jeff.
But watch what's getting happening right now. When this car comes around, watch the jack man.
Yep.
All right, boom. There is one lucky individual right there.
Scott Riddell is okay.
That's the reason why you wear helmets, and you got to have all this stuff, and you got to be paying attention. Otherwise, somebody's going to get hurt. You can believe one thing. When this race is over with, somebody will be in a big red truck talking about what happened and why it happened.
Okay, so quickly, some of the guys that are in: Mike Wallace, Kenny Schrader, a veteran of 19 Daytona 500s.
Great run by Kenny Schrader right there. He's been really good, as far as his time being patient. He said he had to get in this race, had to race his way in, and he did a great job. And I believe our Dick Bergman's caught up with Kenny.
Steve Burns.
Steve,
actually.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Go ahead,
sorry, Steve.
All right, thanks, guys. With Kenny Schrader and a very happy car owner, Beth Ann Morgenthau. Wasn't pretty, but you made it.
It wasn't pretty, but we made it. It didn't go like we wanted to. We got the 1-800-CALL-ATT car up there, and we all came in for the pit stops. All of a sudden, Kurt Busch is sitting sideways and backwards in my pit stall, and we have a problem with the right front air hose, and then we lose second gear going down pit road, and look around, there's no one real close, but I didn't know where we were, and then they say we were 15th, and I just want to thank Beth Ann and Tony for giving me a chance.
I just want to thank you for doing a great job, and I'm glad I didn't know any of that.
And Mike Joy, here's a little stat for you. Of drivers, active drivers who have 5 or more starts in the Daytona 500, Kenny Schrader has the best average finish.
We're not going to try to hurt it Sunday either.
One of the great stories of the day, Kenny Schrader is in the 500. Here's how they'll line up for the 45th running of the Great American Race. 4 Chevys to lead the field, then the Fords of Ricky Rudd and Todd Bodine, the Dodges of Marlin and Wallace, the Ford of Burton, and the Chevy of Tony Stewart, 5th row outside. Now back through, these cars all race their way in. Back through row 15, that'll be 30th position on the grid. All these positions were determined. There's Schrader and Casey Mears, the last ones to get in through these qualifying races. The next 6 positions, Harvick, Petty, Park, Raines, Fittipaldi, and Kenseth, were the next fastest qualifying speeds from Monday. From Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman, Blaney, and Benson, along with Terry Labonte and Jerry Nadeau. Those are car owner points from 2002, and because there's no Winston Cup champion not yet in the field, Mike Skinner gets in there as well. And here's the sad list, the head and home list. The 7 drivers who will not make the Daytona 500 and will have to look to Rockingham for their first start of the season. Dale Earnhardt Jr. addresses the media in Victory Lane. He'll be on the front row when Fox presents the 45th running of the Daytona 500 live on Fox. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been the fastest man in town all week. But what will happen on Sunday? Coverage begins at noon Eastern Time on Fox.
NASCAR on FX. FX welcomes you back to Daytona. Nearly 100,000 people witnessing the Gatorade Twin 125 races. It'll be double that Sunday for the Daytona 500. Let's get out, check in trackside with Matt Yoakum.
Kevin Harvick's chances for victory ended at the entrance of pit road. What were you thinking?
I was thinking, where's this idiot going? But, it's a shame for the Goodyear's car because I think we probably had, at least one of the couple fastest cars there. And anytime you can run with or beside or go by the 8, you're doing something right. But we came into the pits, had a good run into the pits, and made up a couple spots, and the 97 come flailing up in there and smoking the tires, and then just decided to turn and tore the fender off of it. But these guys will get it fixed. Last year, I'd probably go over there and want to kick his ass or something, but this year we're just going to do it on the racetrack and not worry about it. So frustrated a little bit, but it's a lot of fun.
He's got a very fast race car for Sunday. Dick, Kurt Busch, what happened?
A lot of events led up to the final outcome, and the only real thing that we need to explain is that I'm sorry for making the mistake that I had made. And I hope that all the people on pit road are safe and that everybody that deserved to be in the show is in the show. And so I'm sorry to have that outcome.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. So you get both sides of the explanation. Saturday, this is appointment viewing this weekend on Fox. The final Winston Cup practice on the Coolers 300, the Busch Series race, preceded by the Autotrader.com pre-race show. And then, of course, Sunday, the Daytona 500 on Fox. Well, Jeff Hammond, we saw with one pit stop a sample of what can happen in the 500. And I guess we're going to have a minimum of, 6 or 7 pit stops on Sunday? So look out.
Exactly. That's exactly right. You got 7 times more opportunity to have mistakes happen on pit road. So things are going to get real interesting, and it's going to be wild come Sunday.
It was a bright, sunshiny day here in Daytona, and we can see clearly now as we count down to the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Little E winning the second half of the 125. Robbie Gordon the first half. Thanks for watching FX.